Chapter 30, 129. Swish. In a cultivation room on the second floor, Qin Feiyang appeared silently and saw Zhao Xiaojin sitting cross-legged on a futon. Her eyes slightly narrowed, and her body was surrounded by a holy light. This was the law of light. Zhao Xiaojin's cultivation had already reached the peak imperishable stage, so cultivation was meaningless to her. What she needed to do now was to comprehend the law of light and break through to the half-step ruler realm. However, although more than 100,000 years had passed in the Black Tortoise world, her improvement was not great. The fourth profound was like a threshold. Even Qin Feiyang and the madman had to take such a huge risk to comprehend the fourth profound of the law of lightning. It could be imagined that Zhao Xiaojin would not be able to comprehend the fourth profound of the law of light in a short time. "How do you feel?" Qin Feiyang said. Zhao Xiaojin was shocked and opened her eyes. When she saw that it was Qin Feiyang, she was relieved and then said angrily, "Can't you make a sound when you come in? Are you trying to scare me to death? Are you so timid?" Qin Feiyang could not help but laugh. "I used to be quite bold, but after what you and Madman Emo did, I can't help but be afraid when I hear the wind blowing." Zhao Xiaojin snorted coldly. "We didn't do much, did we? You don't have to be so afraid of us. We're all good people." Qin Feiyang smiled. "Good people?" Zhao Xiaojin sneered. "If you don't believe me, then there's nothing I can do." "All right, we should go out," Qin Feiyang said. Zhao Xiaojin stood up, tidied her clothes, and asked suspiciously, "How long has it been?" "More than 100,000 years. Qin Feiyang smiled. "What? More than 100,000 years? Then wouldn't the people outside already think that we died in the trial ground?" Zhao Xiaojin's expression changed. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, "It's been 100,000 years here, but only half a year has passed outside. The time array could not be hidden. 100,000 years here is only half a year outside? You must be talking in your sleep." Zhao Xiaojin was slightly taken aback. He touched Qin Feiyang's forehead and muttered, "He doesn't have a fever." "What are you doing?" Qin Feiyang slapped Zhao Xiaojin's hand away and glared at her. "I wanted to ask you the same question. Do I look like a silly girl to you? Don't fool me," Zhao Xiaojin said furiously. "I'm not fooling you. I think you're just a fool. 100,000 years here is half a year outside. Even a fool would know that it has something to do with the time array." Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. "Time array?" Zhao Xiaojin was shocked. "That's right. Why didn't he think of the time array? What a pig's brain. He made such a low-level mistake and was laughed at by this bastard. Wait a minute." But suddenly, her expression froze. Half a year outside was equivalent to hundreds of thousands of years here. Half a year, 180 days. Could it be that the time array here was 1,000 years a day? Qin Feiyang glanced at her and changed back to Mo Yuanqing's appearance. With a wave of his hand, the two of them immediately appeared in the void outside. Although half a year had passed, the ground below was still as fragmented as before. There were some fierce beasts wandering nearby. When they saw Qin Feiyang and Mo Yuanqing, they immediately roared, opened their bloody mouths, and pounced at the two of them. These fierce beasts were basically in the imperishable realm. Zhao Xiaojin only released a wisp of her aura and scared them away. "I wonder what happened to the fire dragon and the white jade qilin," Qin Feiyang mumbled. Originally, he wanted to use the power of the heavenly tribulation to subdue the white jade qilin, but his and Frenzy's bodies were all shattered, so he could only temporarily give up. After all, even if they still had their bodies, they were not confident of subduing a half-step ruler, let alone losing their bodies. "Qin, Mo Yuanqing, your time array, is it really 1,000 years a day?" Zhao Xiaojin turned to Qin Feiyang and swallowed her saliva. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "So crazy? If you have such a powerful time array, why did you go to the Hall of the Exalted?" Zhao Xiaojin was puzzled. The Hall of the Exalted's time array was only 500 years a day. Compared to Qin Feiyang's time array, it was twice as long. Didn't you say that only by entering the Hall of the Exalted can we have a chance to get close to the deputy leader? Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. I see. Zhao Xiaojin nodded in realization and thought, you guys are really bold. Not only did you sneak into the Alliance capital alone, but you also want to get close to the deputy leader. If you are discovered, you won't even know how you died. There was a hint of gloating in her eyes. I said you were stupid, but you still don't admit it. I have a sovereign weapon. Why would I be afraid of the itinerant cultivator alliance? Qin Feiyang rolled his eyes. Zhao Xiaojin's expression froze, and she said angrily, can't you attack someone else? I just didn't think of it. How is that stupid? Okay. It's my fault. Qin Feiyang waved his hand and asked, how far is the exit of the trial ground? I'm not sure how far it is. I heard from my father that if we keep going west, we will see a mountain range shaped like a rhinoceros. The entrance is in the middle of the mountain range. Zhao Xiaojin said. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and said, then let's go find the fire dragon and the white jade qilin first. Why are we looking for them? Zhao Xiaojin was suspicious. To subdue them, of course. Qin Feiyang smiled. The corner of Zhao Xiaojin's mouth twitched, and she said speechlessly, they are real divine beasts. Subdue them? Are you dreaming? It's not like I don't have divine beasts by my side. Qin Feiyang pursed his lips. Do you? Why didn't I notice? Zhao Xiaojin was surprised. Qin Feiyang rubbed his forehead. He realized that he couldn't talk to Zhao Xiaojin in detail. Otherwise, she would be like a curious baby and keep asking questions. He didn't speak again and scanned the surroundings. The trial ground was so big. Where should he find the white jade qilin and the fire dragon? Right. 3,000 clones. If he activated 3,000 clones, he could search a large area. Whoosh! With a thought from Qin Feiyang, 3,000 clones suddenly appeared, and they all looked the same as Qin Feiyang. You must find them, Qin Feiyang said. Understood. The 3,000 clones chuckled and scattered, disappearing into the sky at lightning speed. They are. Zhao Xiaojin had a look of surprise. Clones. Qin Feiyang said. It can't be that simple. I heard about your battle with brother Yi Tian. In the end, you activated these clones to defeat him. Zhao Xiaojin said. You are quite concerned about me. You know so much about me. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Who cares about you? Don't be shameless. Zhao Xiaojin snorted coldly. Yes. I know. You care about Yi Tian and like him. So when you heard that I defeated him, you also hate me. Then why don't I give you a chance to help Yi Tian wash away his shame? Let's have a one-on-one fight? Qin Feiyang looked at her mockingly. Sure, Zhao Xiaojin nodded without hesitation. However, after nodding, she regretted it. Even brother Yi Tian wasn't this guy's match, let alone her. Forget it. This lady is magnanimous and won't argue with a vile guy like you. She turned her head to hide the panic in her heart. Vile guy. Qin Feiyang's face darkened. Time flew. Main body, come over quickly. I found something. In the evening, the voice of one of the clones suddenly rang in Qin Feiyang's mind. So fast. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He immediately checked the location of the incarnation. Then he grabbed Zhao Xiaojin and rushed towards the incarnation. What are you doing? Zhao Xiaojin frowned. Don't talk so much. Qin Feiyang glared at her. Around dawn, Qin Feiyang finally arrived at the place where the clone was. It was a mountain range that stretched for hundreds of thousands of miles. Giant peaks towered into the sky, emitting a majestic aura. The clone was lying on top of a mountain, staring down without blinking. Qin Feiyang walked over and also lay beside the clone looking down. There was a valley below, and two ferocious beasts were lying in the valley. Their bodies were bleeding, and they were barely breathing as they stared at each other. That's right. It was the fire dragon and the white jade Qilin. What are they doing? Zhao Shaojin, who was at the side, secretly wondered. Are you an idiot? They are obviously recuperating. The clone rolled his eyes at her. Zhao Shaojin immediately glared at the clone angrily. She was actually looked down on by a clone. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. Looking at the clone, he said, "Mission completed. You guys can leave first." After saying that, with a thought, the clone beside him disappeared into thin air. At the same time, the other clones that were scattered in other places also dissipated. The more Zhao Shaojin looked, the more shocked she became. He was actually talking to the clone. What was going on? What the hell? Qin Feiyang ignored her and looked down at the two divine beasts. From the looks of it, they had been fighting since half a year ago. But what was it that made them hate each other so much? Now, the two beasts were in a bad state. To him, this was undoubtedly a good opportunity. However, he couldn't force it. Although the two beasts were heavily injured, their sea of qi was still there. With the sea of qi, their cultivation was also there. As long as their cultivation was still there, they would be able to kill him if they fought back with all their might. Moreover, these divine beasts were all proud and arrogant people. They couldn't be forcefully controlled, or else it would only backfire. They had to follow them wholeheartedly. Qin Feiyang pondered for a while, then slowly stood up and landed in the air above the valley. He smiled and said, "It's really fate to meet you again." Zhao Shaojin also hurriedly ran to Qin Feiyang's side. The two beasts were stunned. "Brother, it's you." The fire dragon bared its fangs and was overjoyed. At the same time, white jade Qilin became vigilant. "It's me, brother." Qin Feiyang also smiled and asked suspiciously, "What are you guys doing here?" "Isn't that obvious? This guy has been pestering me nonstop. Look at the injuries on my body. They were all caused by it. Brother, quickly take advantage of its serious injuries and kill it together. Qilin's meat, whether it's roasted or stewed, tastes good." Fire Dragon laughed sinisterly. Ugh, Qin Feiyang was stunned, so he was still a foodie? White jade Qilin's pupils constricted as he stared at Fire Dragon and roared. "Your divine dragon's meat is even more fragrant." "Fuck, this emperor's brother is here, and you still dare to be arrogant." Fire Dragon said angrily. White jade Qilin snorted coldly, stared at Qin Feiyang, and said in a deep voice, "Human, this has nothing to do with you. It's our personal grudge." Chapter 3130. Then tell me, what's the grudge? As the saying goes, the more friends you have, the more options you have. Anything can be discussed. There's no need to fight to the death, right? Besides, you're all divine beasts, rare in the world. You should cherish your lives. How about this? I'll be the peacemaker. Tell me, and I'll be the judge. I guarantee fairness. Qin Feiyang smiled. Old fox. In Zhao Xiaojin's eyes, the smile on Qin Feiyang's face was a sinister smile. He couldn't help but despise him. The white jade Qilin pondered for a while and nodded. What you said makes sense. We're all divine beasts, and it's not easy to come by. I'll let you be the judge. That's right. According to the words of us humans, only harmony brings wealth. Qin Feiyang chuckled and turned to the fire dragon. Brother, what do you think? Don't you know everything? It attacked me when I was transforming, causing me to be seriously injured and unconscious. If you hadn't helped me, I wouldn't even know how I died. The fire dragon said angrily. The white jade Qilin roared. Then why don't you tell him why I attacked you? Yeah, why did it attack you? There has to be a reason. Qin Feiyang looked at the fire dragon and said suspiciously. The fire dragon stammered and seemed a little flustered. He glared at Qin Feiyang angrily and said, Are you still my brother? Yes, I must be. But I'm on the side of reason, not kinship. Right is right, wrong is right. You can't say that wrong is right just because we're brothers. Qin Feiyong smiled. The fire dragon looked angry. The white jade Qilin glared at the fire dragon, then looked at Qin Feiyong and said, "It's too ashamed to tell you. I'll tell you." "Okay, go ahead." Qin Feiyong nodded. "We have to start from more than 100 years ago. That bastard suddenly appeared in the trial grounds and went around robbing the treasures of the various beast emperors, infuriating both humans and gods. One day, it was chased by the various beast emperors and fled to this emperor's territory. I ignored it at first, but I suddenly noticed that it has the bloodline power of the divine dragon and is about to transform. So, seeing that we are both divine beasts, this emperor decided to help it. But I never thought that after the wind blew over, it would actually attack me from behind. Then, while I was unconscious, it took away all my treasures, including a heaven-defying divine weapon. Tell me, is there such a bastard who bites the hand that feeds him?" The white jade Qilin roared furiously. Ugh! Qin Feiyong looked at the fire dragon in astonishment. The fire dragon turned its head guiltily, not daring to look directly at Qin Feiyong and the white jade Qilin. "Tell me, if it were you, would you be able to tolerate such a thing?" "Of course not." So, this emperor looked everywhere for it. One day, this emperor finally found it. Seeing that it was transforming, this emperor gave it a taste of its own medicine and ambushed it. But it was lucky and escaped. When it was found again, it would be the time for its tribulation. You know it too. The white jade Qilin was furious. "Little dragon, this is your fault. The white jade Qilin helped you out of goodwill, but you actually plotted against it. In our human world, this is something that only villains would do. So you must apologize to it and return the treasures it stole." Zhao Shaojin stepped forward and looked at the fire dragon. The fire dragon said proudly, "This emperor snatched it with my own strength. Why should I return it?" The white jade Qilin said angrily, Do you see? This is its attitude." Qin Feiyong was also speechless. Why was the fire dragon's personality so similar to the white-eyed wolf's? They were both shameless. After a while, Qin Feiyong looked at the white jade Qilin and said with a smile, "What treasures do you have?" "Large amounts of medicinal herbs, pills, soul stones, divine crystals, divine arts, divine artifacts, and so on," the white jade Qilin said. "You're already a half-step sovereign. Other than pills and divine crystals, nothing else is useful to you. As for medicinal herbs, you're not an alchemist, so they're even more meaningless. The only valuable thing is that heaven-defying divine artifact you mentioned." Qin Feiyong said, "That's right, they're all worthless goods. Do you have to be like this? Besides, that heaven-defying divine artifact of yours is just a low-grade, heaven-defying divine artifact. What's so good about it?" The fire dragon pursed its lips. "Shut up." Qin Feiyong glared fiercely and said, "No matter how worthless it is, it's still someone else's. What's wrong with you snatching it?" The fire dragon said angrily, "I snatched it with my own ability. What do you want?" Qin Feiyong's face was dark. This was obviously shameless. It seemed that he was even more shameless than the white-eyed wolf. "Don't be so arrogant. If you didn't sneak attack from behind, would you have snatched this emperor's treasures? Besides, I don't care about these treasures. I just don't like you, an ungrateful bastard." The white jade Qilin cursed. "That's right. Look at how generous the white jade Qilin is. You're both divine beasts, so why are you so far away from it? Where's your pride as a divine beast? Where's your pride as a divine beast? Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed if this gets out?" Qin Feiyong was helpless. "It's so thick-skinned. Is it afraid of being ridiculed?" The white jade Qilin looked down on him. "I'm thick-skinned. Come and bite me." The fire dragon looked at it provocatively. It was like a dead pig that wasn't afraid of boiling water. Qin Feiyang and Zhao Shaojin looked at each other. They couldn't help but shake their heads and smile bitterly. This was the first time they had encountered such a shameless divine beast. "How about this?" Qin Feiyang pondered for a while. He looked at the white jade qilin and said with a smile, "I'll make up for your losses." "You?" The white jade qilin was stunned. "Yes, he's my brother. I'll take responsibility for his mistakes. First, I'll apologize to you on his behalf." After Qin Feiyang said that, he bowed 3 times, full of sincerity. The white jade qilin looked at Qin Feiyang in a daze. The fire dragon was also stunned. Was he really treating it as a brother? Qin Feiyang continued, "Then if you trust me, I'll bring you to a place. Divine crystals, medicinal herbs, pills. You can take whatever you want. You can also choose heaven-defying divine artifacts." "I can choose whatever I want?" The white jade qilin was stunned. Was he so generous? "Yes. I only hope that the 2 of you can put aside your previous grudges and be true friends." Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. "Where?" The white jade qilin was curious. "Can you trust me? And can I trust you?" "Later, when I bring you to the place. I promise you won't tell anyone. No beasts?" Qin Feiyang said. "Don't worry. I will never do immoral things like some scum." The white jade qilin said. "Who are you talking about?" The fire dragon said angrily. "Don't you know who I'm talking about?" The white jade qilin glared at it fiercely. "Straightforward. I like to be friends with divine beasts like you." Qin Feiyang laughed. The fire dragon rolled its eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang with a flattering smile. "That brother, can you bring me along?" "No, I don't trust you." Qin Feiyang shook his head. "Don't. I promise that without your permission, I won't touch a single blade of grass or tree there." The fire dragon hurriedly vowed. The white jade qilin hurriedly said, "Human, don't believe it's nonsense." "Shut up. Did I talk to you?" The fire dragon glared at the white jade qilin and looked at Qin Feiyang with a smile. "If you still don't believe me, I swear in the name of my parents." "You have parents?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "Nonsense. Without parents, how could I be born? Could it be that I jumped out from a stone?" The fire dragon rolled its eyes. Qin Feiyang suddenly pondered. If the fire dragon's cultivation was so strong, how terrifying would its parents be? "Are your parents still alive?" Qin Feiyang asked. "Of course. What do you mean? Are you cursing them?" The fire dragon said angrily. "No, no." Qin Feiyang waved his hand and sent a voice transmission. "White jade qilin, do you know who its parents are?" "I don't know. More than 100 years ago, it seemed to have appeared out of thin air." The white jade qilin thought. "It can't be. If that's the case, it might not be from the trial ground." Qin Feiyang was surprised. "Definitely not. It must have run in from outside," the white jade qilin said. "It came in from outside." Qin Feiyang's heart skipped a beat. Outside, there were only people from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. If that was the case, this fire dragon was most likely the partner of someone from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. If that was the case, all the more he couldn't let the fire dragon enter the black tortoise world. Wait a minute. If that was the case, his identity might be exposed. This was because Huolong had seen his true appearance when he was transcending the tribulation. "What are you thinking about? We're already brothers, and you're still guarding against me like this. That's boring." The fire dragon looked at Qin Feiyang with dissatisfaction. "All right, I'll bring you in, but you have to promise me that not only will you not touch my things, but you also have to keep it a secret." Qin Feiyang said, "Fine, I swear in the name of my parents. If I reveal a word, I'll choke to death while drinking water and be smashed to death by rocks while walking." The fire dragon nodded. Can you show some sincerity? Water can choke you to death? Rocks can smash you to death? Also, will rocks fall from the sky? Qin Feiyong was speechless. Zhao Xiaojin couldn't help but burst into laughter. This Hulong was too funny. Something that's impossible, that's called a poison oath. Little girl, don't you think so? The fire dragon grinned and looked at Zhao Xiaojin. Don't talk to me. I'm afraid of embarrassing myself. Zhao Xiaojin quickly waved her hand. Hey, what's with your attitude? You have to respect a divine, beast more or less. The fire dragon was immediately dissatisfied. Come on, I think you're just a rogue. Qin Feiyong rolled his eyes. Hearing this, the fire dragon immediately stared at Qin Feiyong angrily. All right, I'll believe you this time. Qin Feiyong nodded, then waved his hand and appeared in the sky above the Devil's Land with Zhao Xiaojin, the fire dragon, and the white jade Qilin. Damn! When looking at the medicinal field below and feeling the majestic energy of the crystal vein and soul vein, the fire dragon's eyes suddenly widened. How many medicinal herbs were there? How many soul veins? How many crystal veins? And all the medicinal herbs were old, and no one knew how many years they had existed. This was simply a peerless treasure. Chapter 30, 131. The white jade Qilin at the side was also dumbfounded. Every stalk of medicinal herb here could be called a treasure. It suddenly felt that it had lived for so many years in vain. Qin Feiyong looked at the white jade Qilin and laughed. I keep my word. You can take whatever you want. The white jade Qilin was already dazzled. Brother, what about me? Fire Dragon looked at Qin Feiyong with a smirk. You. Qin Feiyong's face darkened and said angrily, I'm wiping your butt. And you still have the nerve to open your mouth? Don't let the goodies flow into the fields of outsiders. Since we're brothers, let me more or less get some. Fire Dragon smiled embarrassedly. Scram! Qin Feiyong glared at it. White jade Qilin glanced at Fire Dragon, then looked at Qin Feiyong and said, I didn't see it, it's just a guy who doesn't know how to be content. You'd better stay away from it in the future. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Don't instigate the relationship between us brothers. Fire Dragon said angrily. I'm just telling the truth. White jade Qilin laughed coldly and then looked at Qin Feiyong and asked, What about the heaven-defying artifact? Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded, looked at the sky and shouted, Sunset bow, all of you come down for a moment. Whiz, immediately, accompanied by the sound of breaking through the air, all the heaven-defying artifact landed in front of Qin Feiyong. So many? White jade Qilin's eyes suddenly widened. Fire Dragon's eyes were also filled with passion. The heaven-defying artifact that the Black Tortoise World currently possessed with Sunset Bow and the other top 10 heaven-defying artifact, the Axe, the Blood Demon Tower, the Snowflake, the Blood Blade, the Magic Sword, as well as the Black Demon Spear, the Phoenix Blade, the Death God Scythe, and the Dragon-Slaying Sword obtained from the Underworld King's Hell. In other words, there were a total of 19 pieces, and at the very least, they were high-grade, heaven-defying divine artifacts. Not to mention the white jade Qilin and the fire dragon. Even Qin Feiyong himself couldn't help but feel shocked when he saw so many heaven-defying divine artifacts gathered together. Unknowingly, the Black Tortoise World already had so many heaven-defying divine artifacts. This looks like the Slayer magic sword? Suddenly, Fire Dragon stared at Slayer's magic sword in shock. What? You recognize the magic sword Slayer? Qin Feiyong was shocked. The butcher's magic sword was Yi Yuan's heaven-defying artifact. Since the fire dragon recognized it, then it definitely belonged to the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Of course I do. That's scum Yi Yuan. Why is it in your hands? Wait, before I entered the trial grounds, I heard that Yi Yuan was killed and the magic sword of slaughter was stolen. Are you that madman Amo? Fire Dragon looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Qin Feiyong's heart trembled. He didn't expect to be recognized again. But thinking back, he entered the Alliance capital more than 300 years ago, and the Fire Dragon entered the trial grounds 100 years ago. No matter if it was the battle between the Frenzied and Yi Yuan, or the battle between him and Yi Tian, the Fire Dragon should know about it. Since that was the case, there was nothing to hide. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. I am not Madman Amo, I am Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong? Fire Dragon was slightly startled, and said in astonishment, You actually snuck into the Alliance capital. Is the Alliance capital a dragon's lair, or a tiger's den? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Nonsense. Although Old Man Yi wants to reconcile with you, it doesn't mean that you are safe. Fire Dragon said. You even know about this? Qin Feiyong was surprised. This emperor usually doesn't care about these things, but I have no choice. You and Madman Mo's names are too famous. It's hard not to know. It's just that I didn't ask about your appearance before. However, this emperor really admires your courage. You actually dared to barge into the Alliance capital alone. This emperor will become your brother. Fire Dragon laughed loudly. Qin Feiyong was astonished. Are you wondering why this emperor wants to befriend you as a brother after knowing your identity? Fire Dragon asked. Yes. Qin Feiyong nodded. Let me tell you, this emperor has long found Old Man Yi an eyesore. Hualong chuckled. The so-called Old Man Yi was naturally the Vice Alliance leader. It can't be. Qin Feiyong and Zhao Shaojin looked at each other in dismay. Why can't it be? This damn old man, he always has a sinister and cunning look on his face. It's annoying just looking at him. Fire Dragon pursed his lips. Your words are pleasant to hear. Qin Feiyong laughed. Fire Dragon also laughed, then looked at Zhao Shaojin and said, Actually, this emperor also knows who you are. Is that so? Zhao Shaojin was stunned. A small character like you definitely can't enter this emperor's eyes. When this emperor saw you half a year ago, this emperor didn't immediately remember. Just now, this emperor thought for a bit, Aren't you the little girl who follows behind that brat Yi Tian? Fire Dragon looked at her mockingly. You even know that I'm following big brother Yi Tian? Zhao Shaojin was surprised. Fire Dragon said proudly, In this Alliance capital, there's nothing this emperor doesn't know. Then who are you? I've never heard of you. Zhao Shaojin was suspicious. Of course. A small character like you wouldn't know of this emperor's existence. Fire Dragon was disdainful. Shameless. Zhao Shaojin mumbled. Enough. Qin Feiyong waved his hand, looked at the white jade Qilin and said, Choose. You really want me to choose? The white jade Qilin frowned. Of course. I'm a man of my word. Qin Feiyong nodded. The white jade Qilin immediately looked at those heaven-defying divine artifacts. Fire Dragon looked at the white jade Qilin with a hint of playfulness in his eyes. Back then in Wind Sea City, Qin Feiyong's battle with the Blood Hall's sovereign divine weapon had shocked the entire eastern continent. Even the western continent, northern continent, and southern continent knew about it. Such a fierce person dared to covet his heaven-defying divine artifacts. Wasn't this courting death? Forget it. The white jade Qilin hesitated for a moment, then suddenly shook its head. Qin Feiyong was stunned. Zhao Shaojin and Fire Dragon also looked at it suspiciously. How could it let go of such a good opportunity? The white jade Qilin smiled and said, Compared to these worldly possessions, I prefer to be friends with you. It wasn't stupid. Qin Feiyong had so many heaven-defying divine artifacts and resources, yet he dared to sneak into the Alliance capital alone. His identity was definitely not simple. Rather than taking advantage of this small advantage, it was better to be friends with him. That would definitely bring more benefits in the future. This was called giving up the small to take the big. Qin Feiyong was overjoyed when he heard this. He laughed and said, Okay, I'll also be friend with you. Wasn't this his goal? Fire Dragon glanced at the white jade Qilin and said, You're not smart, but you have good taste. You want to fight again, right? The white jade Qilin roared. Come on, I'm not afraid of you. Fire Dragon said angrily. Okay, we've already reconciled. Why are you still causing trouble? We'll all be friends in the future. Keep your temper. Qin Feiyong quickly tried to smooth things over. I won't bicker with you on account of my brother. Fire Dragon snorted. I won't bicker with you on account of him. The white jade Qilin sneered. Okay. Thank you for giving me face. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly and said to the white jade Qilin, Then why don't you stay here for now? After we leave the Alliance capital, you can decide where to go. Okay, the white jade Qilin nodded. Brother, I want to stay here too. Fire Dragon said anxiously. You can't. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Why? We're brothers. Fire Dragon had a sad look on his face. We're brothers, but you're from the Alliance capital. If you follow me, won't the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and your parents skin me alive? Qin Feiyong said. They won't. I promise. Fire Dragon raised his dragon claw. Let's talk about it in the future. Qin Feiyong shook his head and then left the Black Tortoise world with the Fire Dragon and Zhao Xiaojin. He then sent a sound transmission to Madman. Senior brother, I'll leave the white jade Qilin behind. The rest is up to you. No problem. Madman chuckled and immediately ran out of the castle to find the white jade Qilin. Outside. Fire Dragon kept complaining, Brother, your attitude makes me very uncomfortable. It's obvious that you don't trust me. Enough. There's still a long way to go. Qin Feiyong smiled comfortingly. Let me tell you, if you don't bribe me, I'll reveal your identity. Fire Dragon snorted coldly. Yes. I'll definitely think of a way to bribe you. Qin Feiyong was helpless. What a troublemaker. As for revealing it, he wasn't worried. If Fire Dragon really wanted to reveal it, he wouldn't say it like this. Moreover, although this Fire Dragon was a little shameless, no, he was very shameless. However, after getting along with him, he felt that he was still reliable. Then where are we going now? Zhao Xiaojin asked. Of course, we're leaving the trial grounds. Qin Feiyong smiled, then looked at Fire Dragon and asked, What about you? Fire Dragon thought for a moment, then shook his head and said, There's nothing to harm here. I'll go out too. The corner of Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched, and he was speechless. You came to the trial grounds to harm them? I'm bored. Fire Dragon grinned. His body quickly shrank, turning into a chopstick-sized dragon, and with a swoosh, he drilled into Zhao Xiaojin's chest. What are you doing? Zhao Xiaojin's cheeks immediately flushed red, and she hurriedly pulled Fire Dragon out. Hide! All these years, I've provoked so many beast emperors. If I don't hide, aren't you afraid of being hunted down? Fire Dragon said. Then why are you here? Zhao Xiaojin said angrily. This emperor likes women. Fire Dragon chuckled. Why did he look like a wretched little old man? Scram! Zhao Xiaojin's face darkened. She grabbed Fire Dragon's tail and threw it out like trash. I'm a divine beast now. Can you leave me some dignity? The Fire Dragon roared furiously. So what if you're a divine beast? Zhao Xiaojin disdainfully looked at Qin Feiyong and said, Ignore this little bastard, let's go. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed, looking at Fire Dragon. I don't mind you hiding in my arms. Man, he not interested. Fire Dragon glanced at Qin Feiyong with a look of disdain. Qin Feiyong's mouth twitched, and he looked at Zhao Xiaojin. You're indeed a little bastard, let's go. Whoosh! At that moment, the two of them turned into a ray of light and rushed towards the west like lightning. Damn, you're really leaving this emperor behind? Fire Dragon cursed angrily and hurriedly chased after them. Chapter 132. Don't talk about it. The Fire Dragon followed Qin Feiyang and Li Mu, and it even played a crucial role, because the Fire Dragon was very familiar with the trial grounds. It knew very well where the beast emperors were and where the fatal dangers were. With it guiding the way, there was no danger at all. In the blink of an eye, half a month passed. Finally, a mountain range shaped like a rhinoceros entered their sight. The exit should be in that mountain. Zhao Xiaojin smiled happily and flew toward the mountain range impatiently. Wait a moment. Qin Feiyang stopped Zhao Xiaojin and stopped in the air, scanning the mountain range. What's wrong? Zhao Xiaojin looked at him suspiciously. Be careful. What if someone is hiding in there and preparing to ambush us? Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice. Ambush? You mean Zhang Sanbao and the others? Zhao Xiaojin was shocked. We can't rule out this possibility, Qin Feiyang whispered. Zhao Xiaojin scanned the mountain range and frowned. We've been recuperating in your spatial divine item for half a year. They might think that we've already left the trial grounds. It's best if that's the case. It'll save us some trouble. Qin Feiyang smiled, but then his expression changed and he shook his head. No, it might be even more troublesome. Why? Zhao Xiaojin was puzzled. Think about it. When they go out and find that we're still in the trial grounds, what will they do? They'll make the first move and bite us, saying that we're ruthless and murdered that young man. In this way, when we go out and tell the truth, no one will believe us. Qin Feiyang said. Then are they worth believing? After all, this is only their side of the story. Zhao Xiaojin frowned. There's a key to this. This key is Zhang Sanbao. Many people know that Zhang Sanbao likes you and has a good relationship with you. If he stands up for us righteously, how many people do you think will believe us? Qin Feiyang sneered. Zhao Xiaojin's heart sank. Qin Feiyang glanced at Zhao Xiaojin and comforted him. Don't worry too much. This is just my guess. Let's enter the mountain range first and see if they have an ambush. Zhao Xiaojin nodded and followed beside Qin Feiyang, carefully flying towards the mountain range. Suddenly, she lowered her head and looked at her wrist. There was an exquisite bracelet on it. The bracelet was fiery red and shaped like a divine dragon. That was right. This was the transformation of the fire dragon. Little bastard, didn't you claim to be very powerful? Can you help us when the time comes? Zhao Xiaojin smiled gently. Tigress, can you not be so gentle? I'm not used to it, the fire dragon said lazily. You need to be taught a lesson. Zhao Xiaojin immediately frowned. That's right. This is your true nature. The fire dragon chuckled. Zhao Xiaojin gritted his teeth and said angrily, Then are you going to help or not? Help, definitely help. But I didn't see the matter between you and Zhang Sanbao with my own eyes. Who knows if it's like what you said? The fire dragon pursed his lips. You've been with us for so long. Don't you know what kind of person we are? Zhao Xiaojin was a little angry. Don't talk like we're very familiar with each other. Although we've known each other for half a year, we've only been together for half a month. In just half a month, I don't have the ability to see through a person's nature. The fire dragon replied indifferently. You, Zhao Xiaojin was furious and said angrily, We even saved you before. Did I ask you to save me again? No way. It's you guys who have nothing better to do and are nosy. The fire dragon said, I'll bite you to death. Zhao Xiaojin was enraged to the extreme. This little bastard was too heartless. Seeing Zhao Xiaojin's overly intense reaction, Qin Feiyang was a little speechless. This woman was sometimes so silly that she was cute. Couldn't she tell that the fire dragon was deliberately teasing her? About 10 breaths later, Qin Feiyang's eyes suddenly lit up as he looked at a giant mountain that was about 10,000 feet in front of him. At the top of the mountain, there was a space-time crack floating. It's the exit. Zhao Xiaojin's eyes were filled with joy. The two of them carefully approached the mountain peak. But there was no danger as they had imagined. They successfully landed on the mountain peak. Looks like they've already left the trial ground. Qin Feiyang muttered. Zhao Xiaojin asked, Then is it possible that they haven't found this place yet? Qin Feiyang said, Even you know the location of the exit, let alone them. That's true. Zhang Sanbao's father is the city lord of our East City. He must know the situation of the trial ground better than me. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Regardless of whether they've left or not, our situation won't be too good. Let's go. Qin Feiyang smiled and took the lead to step into the space-time crack. Zhao Xiaojin took a deep breath and quickly followed. Songlan Snow Mountain. Somewhere in the west, there was a small square. The plaza was covered in ice and snow, and the cold wind was bone-chilling. On all sides there were endless glaciers. A white-robed old man sat cross-legged in the plaza. He had white hair and a white beard. He had the demeanor of a transcendent being and emitted a faintly discernible aura. Above him, there was a space-time crack floating. Suddenly, the white-robed old man opened his eyes and looked at the space-time crack above him. Following that, under the white-robed old man's gaze, a man and a woman walked out of the space-time crack. It was Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin. The two of them stood in the air and scanned their surroundings. As expected, the exit was not in the Alliance capital. When they saw the white-robed old man, their pupils constricted. They hurriedly landed on the plaza and bowed. Greetings, Senior. The white-robed old man stood up and sized up the two of them. He asked, You two are Moun and Zhao Xiaojin? As for the fire dragon, it had turned into a bracelet and quietly wrapped itself around Zhao Xiaojin's wrist. The white-robed old man had not noticed it yet. It's the two of us. Qin Feiyang nodded. One is the third profound of the law of light, the other is the third profound of the law of thunder, and you have also comprehended the second profound of the law of war. Your talents have surprised this old man. The white-robed old man laughed hoarsely. Qin Feiyang's heart trembled. He had only revealed the law of thunder in the trial grounds. The people in the Alliance capital did not know about it, but this old man in front of him actually knew about it so clearly. It was obvious that Zhang Sanbao and the others had already come out. Thank you for your praise, Senior. Zhao Xiaojin was also a little nervous. Would it really be as Qin Feiyang thought, that Zhang Sanbao and the others would bite them back? Unfortunately, suddenly, the white-robed old man shook his head. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin's eyelids twitched. The white-robed old man pondered for a moment, then asked, Tell this old man honestly, did you kill Wu Shan? Wu Shan. Qin Feiyang was stunned. The white-robed old man waved his hand and a shadow condensed. It was the young man who died in Zhao Xiaojin's hands. Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin looked at each other. This old man wants to hear the truth. The white-robed old man said, I killed him. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. The white-robed old man frowned and asked, Why did you kill him? Because he deserved to be killed. Zhao Xiaojin said word by word, his face full of disgust. The white-robed old man was slightly stunned and said, Tell me about it. Zhao Xiaojin asked, I believe that Senior should have heard about the grudge between this junior and Feng Wanyan. The white-robed old man nodded. It's because we offended him back then that he held a grudge against us. That's why Zhang Sanbao and the others attacked us in the trial grounds, even launching a sneak attack. If it wasn't for the fact that this junior has a forbidden escape technique, I would have died in their hands. Zhao Xiaojin said, "Is that so? But what they said is completely different from what you're saying now." The white-robed old man frowned. Qin Feiyang asked, "Did they tell you that it was us who plotted against them first?" "That's right. They said that you encountered a heaven-defying divine artifact in the trial grounds, so you wanted to kill them because of the treasure." The white-robed old man nodded. "This is simply a case of a thief crying thief." Zhao Xiaojin was furious. "Both of you are sticking to your own story. To be honest, this old man doesn't know who to believe." The white-robed old man shook his head. "Rotten old man, do you believe this emperor?" At this moment, the fire dragon spoke, leaving Zhao Xiaojin's wrist and floating in front of the white-robed old man. The divine beast fire dragon. The white-robed old man's eyes flashed with a strange light. "What kind of eyesight is this? You can't even recognize this emperor's voice?" The fire dragon glared at him angrily. The white-robed old man was stunned as he sized up the fire dragon. A trace of surprise gradually crept into his eyes as he asked, "It can't be you, right?" "Nonsense. Who else could it be if not this emperor? More than 100 years ago. That was before you sent this emperor to the trial." The fire dragon pursed his lips. The white-robed old man seemed to be in disbelief as he asked, "You've already successfully transformed. Isn't that the truth in front of you?" The fire dragon said. "Congratulations." The white-robed old man's face was filled with joy. "Stop flattering me. This matter was indeed planned by Zhang Sanbao and the others first. Also, Mo Yuanyuan and Zhao Xiaojin are this emperor's saviors. You have to take care of them." The fire dragon said indifferently. "Saviors?" The white-robed old man was stunned. "Yes, this emperor encountered some difficulties in the trial grounds and almost died. It was because they helped me pass the tribulation that I was able to transform successfully." The fire dragon nodded. "I see." The white-robed old man nodded in realization and looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin with a smile. "Since it can testify, this matter must be true." Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin heaved a sigh of relief. However, they were also more curious about the fire dragon's identity. Even the people from the Hall of the Exalted trusted it so much. What role did it play in the itinerant cultivators' alliance? However, the white-robed old man changed the topic and said, "Zhang Sanbao and the others have been out for 5 months. In these 5 months, many things have happened." "What happened?" Qin Feiyang was suspicious. Zhao Xiaojin also had an uneasy premonition in his heart. "After they came out, they spread the news that you plotted against them and caused an uproar in the alliance. In addition, Wu Shan's father and the forces behind Zhang Sanbao and the others kept complaining to the higher-ups. Therefore, 3 months ago, the higher-ups ordered." At this point, the white-robed old man could not help but look at Zhao Xiaojin with a hesitant expression. "What order?" Zhao Xiaojin panicked. "To arrest your parents and your brother." The white-robed old man sighed. Chapter 30, 133. What? Zhao Xiaojin's body swayed and his face turned pale. Qin Feiyang hurriedly supported Zhao Xiaojin and looked at the white-robed old man with a frown. "Senior, this is just their side of the story. Why didn't you wait for us to come out and verify it before coming to a conclusion? On one hand, it's because Zhang Sanbao and the others are causing too much trouble. The higher-ups have no choice but to do this to appease the public. On the other hand, this matter has something to do with the 10th elder." The white-robed old man sighed. "It's that old fart again?" Qin Feiyang raised his brows. The white-robed old man frowned. "Don't be rude. After all, he's the 10th elder of our itinerant cultivator alliance. If he's really respected, would I scold him like that?" Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. "Although you're right, you can't say it out loud. If others hear it, They'll accuse you of being disrespectful again. The white-robed old man said. Qin Feiyang raised his brows and nodded. I'll take note of it in the future. Yes. The 10th elder is famous for being protective of his own people. Feng Wanyan lost you guys in the East City and lost face. He'll definitely take it to heart. Therefore, when he learned of this matter, he immediately reported it to the deputy alliance leader and sent people to capture Zhao Eryong and the others. If Yi Tian didn't appear at the critical moment, he would have killed them on the spot. The white-robed old man said. Yi Tian, Qin Feiyang mumbled and asked, What about Yi Tian? What did he say? Yi Tian is willing to believe you guys. He insisted on waiting for you guys to come out of the trial ground to confront Zhang Sanbao and the others. The white-robed old man nodded. Not bad. I didn't make a mistake. Qin Feiyang mumbled. From the beginning, he felt that Yi Tian was a very good person. He was somewhat similar to the Prince of the Dragons. He was frank and honest. Now he did not disappoint him. Zhao Shaojin hurriedly asked, Where are my father and the others now? How are they now? They seem to be locked up in the divine prison. I'm not sure about the exact situation. The white-robed old man shook his head. Divine prison. Zhao Xiaojin's face turned pale again. The divine prison was a place where the Rogue Cultivator Alliance locked up criminals and traitors. Those who entered the divine prison would have a 90% chance of survival. Actually, the most important thing is still Zhang Sanbao. At first, everyone was skeptical because many people in East City knew Zhao Xiaojin better and felt that it was impossible for him to do such a thing. But at the critical moment, Zhang Sanbao stood up and accused you with a pained expression. The white-robed old man shook his head. That bastard. Zhao Xiaojin's face was filled with rage. And all of this did not escape Qin Feiyang's speculation. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath, looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said, The most important thing right now is to save your father and the others. Feng Wanyan hates you to the bones. Your father and the others will definitely not have a good time in the divine prison. Zhao Xiaojin quivered and nodded. That's right. He will definitely take this opportunity to take revenge and torture my father and the others. We will immediately go to divine prison. With that, Zhao Xiaojin rushed towards the southeast. Qin Feiyang quickly followed. Fire Dragon looked at the backs of Qin Feiyang and the white-robed old man and said, Old man, are you not going to do anything about this? This matter is related to the 10th elder. How can this old man interfere? The white-robed old man chuckled. TSK, you're too lazy to care. No matter what, you are still one of the top 3 figures in the Alliance capital. Can you not just hide here and slack off all day? Fire Dragon rolled his eyes. This old man is already a person who is about to die. If I don't find a chance to enjoy a peaceful life now, do I have to wait until I die to find one? The white-robed old man was speechless. Then hurry up and die. Don't waste food. Fire Dragon glared at him, then chased after Qin Feiyang and the white-robed old man. The corner of the white-robed old man's mouth twitched. Looking at Elder Huzbak, his face was filled with helplessness. But then, he raised his head and looked at the snowy sky with a hint of worry between his brows. Where is the divine prison? Qin Feiyang followed beside Zhao Xiaojin and frowned. Purgatory Ice Peak in the southeast. Zhao Xiaojin said. Purgatory Ice Peak, Qin Feiyang muttered, and asked, Then, do you want to inform Yi Tian about this matter first? Let's see how the situation goes first. Zhao Xiaojin's face was filled with worry. Don't be so anxious. With this emperor here, no one will dare to hurt them. Fire Dragon caught up and said proudly. Zhao Xiaojin said, The key is that they don't know your relationship with us. That's true. Fire Dragon nodded, and then said, Don't worry if anything happens to your father and the others. This emperor promises to take revenge for you. Can you shut up? What do you mean something bad? Can't you say something more auspicious? Qin Feiyang really wanted to kick him. Didn't he see that Zhao Xiaojin was already so scared? Wasn't he deliberately provoking her? Fire Dragon smiled embarrassedly. About an hour later, a snowy mountain appeared in front of them. But strangely enough, the snowy mountain was tens of thousands of feet tall, and its entire body was dark red. Even the snow on top of it was dark red, as if it had been soaked in a large amount of blood. From afar, one could feel a fiendish aura. The air was also filled with traces of blood mist, making it look extremely eerie and terrifying. That's the Purgatory Ice Peak, Zhao Xiaojin said in a deep voice. Qin Feiyang sized up the ice peak. Thick blood-red chains were tied around the ice peak. The other ends of the chains were buried deep into the ground, producing deafening sounds amidst the fierce winds. The dark red ice peak, the dark red snow, the blood-red chains, and the blood mist in the air made this place look like an azure purgatory, causing one to be intimidated. Right next to the ice mountain, there was a stone stele that was 300 meters tall. 2 bloody words were engraved on it. Divine Prison. The entrance to the Divine Prison was at the foot of the mountain. It was a dark red stone door, and it was currently tightly shut. In front of the stone door, there were 2 middle-aged men sitting cross-legged. They were both late-stage sovereigns. Who is it? Sensing the auras of Qin Feiyang, Zhao Xiaojin, and the Fire Dragon, the 2 middle-aged men suddenly opened their eyes, and 2 rays of cold light shot out of their eyes. Zhao Xiaojin rushed in front of the 2 and said respectfully, "Junior Zhao Xiaojin greets the 2 seniors. You are Zhao Eryong's daughter, Zhao Xiaojin?" The 2 were stunned. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. "Then you are Mo Fengyuan?" The 2 looked at Qin Feiyang. "Yes." Qin Feiyang nodded. "Then the divine beast fire dragon." The 2 looked at the fire dragon again, and a trace of shock appeared in their eyes. Why was there a fire dragon beside the 2 of them? The fire dragon had transformed in the trial grounds. So the people of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance still didn't know that the fire dragon was a giant python. Zhao Xiaojin bowed and said, "Seniors, please make an exception and let us enter the divine prison." The 2 men looked at each other and said in unison, "You were tempted by wealth in the trial grounds, and you killed your fellow disciples. You should indeed enter the divine prison. Zhang Sanbao and the others framed us." Zhao Xiaojin said angrily, "Everyone who makes a mistake will say that they were wronged." Boom! The 2 of them released their auras, and they directly imprisoned Qin Feiyang, Zhao Xiaojin, and the fire dragon. "We were really wronged," Zhao Xiaojin shouted anxiously. "It's not up to you to decide whether you were wronged or not." The 2 of them took a step forward. One of them rushed toward Qin Feiyang, while the other rushed toward Zhao Xiaojin. "Wait," Qin Feiyang spoke up at this time. However, the 2 of them did not stop. One of them grabbed Qin Feiyang's arm, while the other grabbed Zhao Xiaojin's wrist. Zhao Xiaojin immediately looked at the fire dragon for help. "Looks like I'll have to make a move." The fire dragon shook his head. However, before the fire dragon could finish speaking, one of the big-sized men raised his arm and grabbed the fire dragon and snorted, "Even if you are a divine beast, you still have to lie down." The fire dragon said angrily, "Damn, how dare you be so arrogant? Do you know who this emperor is?" "I don't care who you are." The big man sneered. The other big man waved his hand, and the tightly shut door of the divine prison opened, and a cold aura immediately rushed out from inside. "Little bastard, you're useless." Qin Feiyang sent a sound transmission. "It's a bit of a miscalculation. This emperor has never been to the divine prison before, so they have never heard this emperor's voice. Plus, this emperor has changed a lot, so they can't recognize me. If I had known earlier, I would have dragged that damn old man along." the fire dragon thought. Then what should we do now? Qin Feiyang asked. Why don't we just start? The fire dragon sent a sound transmission. Can we do it? Qin Feiyang frowned. The fire dragon chuckled. Isn't that simple? Take out your sovereign divine weapon and kill them directly. Get lost. Qin Feiyang's anger immediately flared up. Not to mention that he couldn't control the castle. He hadn't even investigated the relationship between the deputy leader and the Blood Hall. He definitely couldn't expose his identity. Stop! At this moment, a cold shout sounded. This voice! Qin Feiyang hurriedly raised his head and looked over. He saw a white-clothed youth flying over from afar like lightning. Brother Yi Tian! Zhao Shaojin was also overjoyed. The two burly men were about to bring Qin Feiyang and the fire dragon into the divine prison. When they saw Yi Tian, their pupils shrank. Now, the entire Rogue Cultivator Alliance knew about the relationship between Zhao Shaojin and Yi Tian. Let them go. Yi Tian landed in front of the divine prison and looked at the two burly men. One of the burly men quickly said, Young Master Yi Tian, they are. Didn't you hear me tell you to let go? Yi Tian's eyebrows twitched. He didn't get angry, but he was still imposing. The two men looked at each other and could only let go. You guys are finished. How dare you attack this emperor? Even if the Heavenly King comes down, he won't be able to save you. The fire dragon roared. Yi Tian was startled as he looked at the fire dragon. Why did this voice sound so familiar? Brother, Yi Tian! Zhao Shaojin immediately ran to Yi Tian, tears of grievance flowing from his eyes. Don't be afraid, I'm here. Yi Tian smiled gently. Zhao Shaojin said, Brother Yi Tian, you must believe me. Emo Wuji and I were wronged by them. Yi Tian heard this and looked at Qin Feiyang. We were indeed framed, Su Qingsang said. Qin Feiyang nodded. Yi Tian was silent. Zhao Shaojin said anxiously, Brother Yi Tian, even you don't believe me? No. Of course I believe you. But this matter is a bit troublesome because you guys are different from what Zhang Sanbao said. Someone has to come out and testify for you. Yi Tian sighed. Chapter 30-134. We have a witness. Zhao Shaojin hurriedly said, Yes. Yi Tian was slightly startled and said happily, That's great. Where is the witness? This emperor is the witness. Fire Dragon said. You? Yi Tian looked at Fire Dragon in a daze. Why did this voice sound so familiar? Suddenly, a beast image appeared in his mind, and he asked in surprise, It's you. At least you have a conscience. You can still recognize this emperor's voice. Fire Dragon coldly snorted. It really is you. Yi Tian was stunned. It was also at this moment. Qin Feiyang's gaze slightly trembled, and an inexplicable, throbbing feeling emerged in his heart. What's going on? He was extremely surprised and immediately searched for the source of this throbbing. Isn't this Brother Tian? Why would you be in the mood to come to a dirty place like the divine prison? However, at the next moment, a laugh sounded. Hearing this voice, Yi Tian's brows twitched. He raised his head to look at the entrance of the divine prison, only to see a purple-clothed youth walking out. Feng Wanyan. Zhao Shaojin's eyes immediately lit up with rage. Isn't this Miss Shaojin? And Emo Feng Yuan? You guys have come out of the training grounds. That's truly a joyous occasion. Feng Wanyan laughed. Qin Feiyang looked at Feng Wanyan and frowned. What are you doing in the divine prison? I was bored, so I came over to take a look. What is it? You guys want to care about this too? Feng Wanyan laughed. Are you just bored and came over to take a look? Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed. It was very unusual for Feng Wanyan to come out of the divine prison. What else? I'm not as delicate as Brother Tian. I don't care about those dirty things, so I like to walk around when I have nothing to do. After Feng Wanyan finished speaking, he looked at Yi Tian and laughed. Brother Tian, I heard that these two are criminals who harmed their fellow sect members. You have to deal with them impartially. Don't worry, I won't let anyone who makes a mistake go, and I won't wrong a good person. Yi Tian smiled faintly. Hearing Brother Tian's words, I can really rest assured. All right, I won't disturb you anymore. I'll go somewhere else for a stroll. Feng Wanyan smiled and soared into the sky, leaving without looking back. Qin Feiyang looked at Feng Wanyan's back, and his eyes flashed slightly. Through the kill formula, he felt a very strong killing intent from Feng Wanyan's body. It was as if he had just killed someone. Suddenly, he recalled the throbbing that had suddenly appeared earlier. Could it be? Qin Feiyang's expression changed slightly. He quickly checked Zhao Eryong through the slave seal. However, he was shocked to find that the slave seal that was controlling Zhao Eryong had disappeared. As expected, that throbbing sensation came from the slave seal. Qin Feiyang anxiously looked at Yi Tian and shouted, "Enter the divine prison immediately!" What do you mean? Yi Tian couldn't react in time. Qin Feiyang glanced at Zhao Shaojin and sent a sound transmission. I'm worried that Zhao Eryong and the rest have already met with misfortune. Yi Tian's gaze trembled as he looked at the two burly men and shouted, "Immediately bring us to the place where Zhao Eryong and the rest are imprisoned." Yes, the two of them respectfully replied and ran towards the divine prison. Qin Feiyang and the other two and Fire Dragon quickly followed. The interior of the divine prison was a completely sealed space, and it was extremely dark. The prisons inside were also sealed. Not long later, under the lead of the two burly men, they arrived in front of a prison on the second floor. The stone door was tightly shut. "Open it," Yi Tian said. One of the burly men raised his arm, grabbed a candle lamp on the left side of the stone door, and turned it with force. The stone door slowly opened. As the stone door opened, a pungent smell of blood immediately gushed out. Qin Feiyang's heart sank when he smelled the smell of blood. When the stone door was completely opened and he saw the scene inside, Zhao Xiaojin's entire body collapsed. On the ground of the prison, there were 3 bloodied corpses. If it wasn't Zhao Eryong, his wife, and Zhao Yang, who else could it be? How could this be? The 2 middle-aged men hurriedly ran in to check on the situation of the 3 of them. Their expressions were also stunned. They had already died. "Father, mother, brother!" Zhao Xiaojin hysterically pounced forward, shook his head, and said, "I don't believe it. Brother, father, mother, wake up. I'm back. Wake up." Feng Wanyan. Seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang couldn't help but clench his fists tightly, making cracking sounds. So ruthless. Fire Dragon couldn't help but frown. Yi Tian's expression was also extremely gloomy as he suddenly raised his head to look at the 2 middle-aged men. The 2 of them hurriedly knelt on the ground and roared, "Young Master Yi Tian, we didn't know about this. Please spare us." "You are in charge of guarding the divine prison, and you say you don't know about such a big thing happening?" Yi Tian's eyes flashed with astonishing killing intent. This was the first time Qin Feiyang had seen Yi Tian so angry. "We really didn't know. Not long ago, young Master Feng Wanyan came to the divine prison. He only said that he was here to take a look, but he didn't say that he was here for Zhao Eryong's family. If we had known earlier, we wouldn't have let him in no matter what." Their faces were filled with fear. "You want to get away with just saying that you don't know? I think you are Feng Wanyan's accomplices. I will kill you." Zhao Shaojin roared and pounced towards the 2 of them crazily. Qin Feiyang immediately stepped forward and grabbed Zhao Shaojin. "What are you doing? Let go!" Zhao Shaojin roared. "Calm down. You're not their match. Besides, from the looks of it, they really don't know." Qin Feiyang glanced at the 2 of them and said, Zhao Shaojin roared, "Even if they don't know, they're still accomplices. Shaojin, come down first. I promise to give you justice." Yi Tian also hurriedly stepped forward to persuade him. Zhao Xiaojin glanced at Yi Tian and squatted in front of the corpses of Zhao Eryong and the other two, crying bitterly. Yi Tian looked at the two middle-aged, burly men gloomily and shouted, "Go and call Feng Wanyin here immediately!" Yes, the two of them nodded and quickly ran outside. Also, call Zhang Sanbao and the rest here. Everything will be settled here today, Yi Tian said. Okay. The two of them turned and left at lightning speed. At the same time, outside, above a certain glacier, Feng Wanyin took out the image crystal. Buzz. Very soon, a shadow appeared. It was Zhang Sanbao. Brother Feng. Zhang Sanbao smiled. You're still in the mood to smile. Do you know? Zhao Xiaojin and Mo Yuanchu are back. Feng Wanyin said. They're back? Zhang Sanbao was stunned. Yes, they're in the divine prison now. And coincidentally, I just killed Zhao Eryong's family. Feng Wanyin sneered. What? You killed them? Zhang Sanbao's expression changed. That's right. Feng Wanyin nodded. Why did you kill them? After all, Zhao Eryong is a greater mastery juggernaut, and Yi Tian is also involved in this matter. Zhang Sanbao said. So what? When I killed Zhao Eryong's family, no one was present. Even if they saw me coming out of the divine prison, they won't dare to do anything to me without evidence. After all, I have my grandfather backing me up. I'm telling you, inform the others immediately and get ready to deal with it. Anyway, you can insist that they were the ones who were greedy and killed to steal the treasure. At that time, both of them will die too. Feng Wanyin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Understood. Zhang Sanbao nodded. In the divine prison. Yi Tian looked at the grief-stricken Zhao Xiaojin and turned to Qin Feiyang, saying, Come out with me. Qin Feiyang nodded. The two of them walked out to ask for the truth. Yi Tian asked in a low voice, What exactly happened at the trial ground? It's like this. Qin Feiyang gave a simple and clear account of the situation at that time. I see. This Feng Wanyin really wants to kill all of us. Yi Tian's eyes were rather sinister. They will definitely insist that Zhao Xiaojin and I killed and stole the treasure, but they will not expect that the fire dragon will help us. However, there is one thing I can't figure out. Qin Feiyang frowned. What? Yi Tian was suspicious. What exactly is the identity of this fire dragon? Does everyone trust its words so much? Qin Feiyang asked. Yi Tian glanced at the fire dragon in the prison and said, Its identity is not simple. You will know in the future. Now, the death of Zhao Eryong's family is a bit difficult to deal with. What's so difficult about that? Qin Feiyang was puzzled. Although we all saw Feng Wanyin come out of the divine prison, no one saw him kill Zhao Eryong's family with our own eyes. If he is just an ordinary person, I can kill him directly. But he is the grandson of the 10th elder and has the protection of the 10th elder, so we have to show evidence. Yi Tian frowned. Doesn't that mean he can get away scot-free? Qin Feiyang raised his eyebrows. I really have to think about this matter carefully. Otherwise, I'm afraid he will really get away scot-free. Yi Tian shook his head and sighed. Hearing this, Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a trace of cold light. Whether it was for public or private reasons, he could not sit back and do nothing about the death of Zhao Eryong's family. Wait. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang glanced at Zhao Eryong's body and frowned. Zhao Eryong is a greater mastery sovereign. How did Feng Wanyin kill him? You don't know. When they were captured, their entire family's sea of qi had already been crippled. And anyone who is locked in the divine prison will have their universe rings confiscated. Yi Tian said. Then even if his qi sea is destroyed, Zhao Eryong still has his divine soul. His divine soul is enough to kill Feng Wanyin in an instant. Qin Feiyang said. Look at their wrists. Yi Tian said. Qin Feiyang looked at the wrists of the three and found that there was a black bracelet on each of their wrists that is made with the soul-sealing magic stone. This soul-sealing magic stone has the ability to seal divine souls. In short, as long as it is sealed by the soul-sealing magic stone, the divine soul will become harmless, and whether it is divine sense or divine sense, they will be imprisoned. Yi Tian explained in a low voice. There is such a thing. Qin Feiyang frowned. This soul-sealing magic stone is very rare. As long as it is in our rogue cultivator alliance and a large force like the demonic palace, they will have it. Yi Tian nodded. Qin Feiyang took a deep breath and looked at Yi Tian. Anyway, no matter what, today, Feng Wanyin, Zhang Sanbao, and the others must die. Yi Tian was shocked. Was he planning to kill them by force? But suddenly, he looked at Qin Feiyang's eyes and was slightly stunned. Why did he feel an inexplicable sense of familiarity? Chapter 30:135. Cries could be heard in the cell. Qin Feiyang felt terrible. Yi Tian could not help but feel his heart ache. He had always treated Zhao Shaojin as his younger sister. She was sensible, filial, and ambitious. Originally, he had thought that with his protection, Zhao Shaojin would be able to live a carefree and peaceful life. However, he did not expect something like this to happen. Within a night, all her family members died and she became an orphan. Could it be that he was not ruthless enough? As the eldest grandson of the Vice Alliance leader and the #1 monster incarnate of the Itinerant Cultivator Alliance, he could not intimidate a profligate scum like Feng Wanyin? That was right. It must be because he was usually too kind, such that these people would do one thing on the surface and another behind his back. It seemed like he had to be ruthless if he wanted to protect the people around him. Time passed quickly. About an hour passed. One of the two burly men who left previously ran in hurriedly and said respectfully, "Young Master Yi Tian, they're already waiting outside." "All right." Yi Tian nodded and entered the cell. He looked at Zhao Shaojin, who was squatting on the ground with a sorrowful expression, and said softly, "Shaojin, pull yourself together. I'll definitely seek justice for you." "Thank you." Zhao Shaojin murmured and stood up slowly, hugging Wang Shui's corpse. Yi Tian hugged Zhao Yang's corpse as well. Qin Feiyang walked in and hugged Zhao Eryong's corpse as well, murmuring, "I'm sorry that I couldn't protect you guys. However, don't worry, I'll make sure that all of them are buried with you." At the end of a sentence, a shocking killing intent flashed through his eyes. Thud! Thud! The three of them followed the middle-aged, burly man and headed outside. Zhao Xiaojin's eyes were also emitting a look of hatred. Outside, Feng Wanyin, Zhang Sanbao, and more than 10 others stood together with smiles in their eyes. Finally, Qin Feiyang and the other two walked out. What's going on? When Feng Wanyin saw the corpses of Zhao Eryong's family, he was shocked. "You're still pretending?" Zhao Shaojin roared. Slightly stunned, Feng Wanyin looked at Zhao Shaojin suspiciously and asked, "Miss Shaojin, what do you mean by that? Why should I pretend? Didn't you kill my father, mother, and brother?" Zhao Shaojin roared. Feng Wanyin's expression froze as he hurriedly cried out, "This is a huge misunderstanding. How could I possibly kill them?" Zhao Shaojin was furious. Not only was he an inhumane beast, he was also a piece of trash who didn't dare to admit what he had done. Yi Tian put down Zhao Yang's corpse and waved his hand at Zhao Shaojin. He then looked at Feng Wanyin and said, "You just came out of the divine prison and their whole family was killed. How can there be such a coincidence in this world? Brother Tian, they don't believe me. Don't tell me you don't believe me too. No matter how much of a bastard I am, I won't kill the innocent. Moreover, Zhao Eryong is the hero who guarded the border. Even if you lend me some guts, I still wouldn't dare to touch him." Feng Wanyin looked aggrieved. Yi Tian said in a low voice, "Then tell me, how did they die?" "How would I know? When I entered the divine prison earlier, I didn't see them at all. Brother Tian, you have to believe me. I would never do such a thing. Feng Wanyan shook his head. Then why did you enter the divine prison? For no reason. Yi Tian frowned. To take a stroll. Just to take a stroll. Feng Wanyan smiled. Zhao Shaojin couldn't help but roar. Who would come to the divine prison for no reason? Do you think we're stupid? Who said that I can't come to the divine prison for no reason? My legs are on my body. I can go wherever I want. It's my freedom. Miss Shaojin, I know there's a little conflict between us, but you can't slander me because of this. If you insist that it's me, please show me the evidence. If you can show me the evidence, or if someone saw me kill them with their own eyes, I promise that I won't resist and will let you do whatever you want. However, if you can't show me the evidence, I'll report this matter to the vice leader and the elders and let them be the judge. Feng Wanyun's eyes flashed coldly. You bastard! Zhao Shaojin almost vomited blood when she heard these words. He dared to accuse her of slandering him? Yi Tian's eyes flickered as he comforted Zhao Shaojin. He then looked at Feng Wanyun and said, All right, let's not talk about this for now. Let's talk about what happened at the trial ground. Feng Wanyun said with a smile, You'll have to tell Zhang Sanbao and the others about this. I don't know much about it. Yi Tian glanced at Zhang Sanbao and the others. Mr. Yi Tian, we've already explained what happened in front of everyone. What else is there to say? The woman in a red shirt frowned. However, what Mo Yuan and Zhao Shaojin said after they came out was different from what you said. Yi Tian said, Of course it's different. They'll definitely accuse us of being a thief. The woman in a red shirt smirked. That's right. That's what those who have done wrong usually do. Mr. Yi Tian, we know that you're close to Zhao Shaojin, but you can't just protect her and accuse the innocent. The young man in a purple shirt and the others spoke too. Accuse the innocent? Looking at these hypocritical faces, Zhao Shaojin suddenly felt very disappointed. Were these people from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance? Her father guarded the border and worked hard for most of his life, but all he did was protect these scum? Of course, I won't accuse the innocent, but at the same time, I won't let any treacherous villains off. I'll give you one last chance. Tell me the truth. Yi Tian glanced at Zhang Sanbao and the others with a cold glint in his eyes. What we said is the truth. Mr. Yi Tian, from the looks of it, you're really going to protect them. You're the grandson of the deputy leader, but shouldn't you be reasonable too? And you, Zhao Shaojin, what did you do to make Mr. Yi Tian distort the truth for you? The group of people glared at each other. Zhao Shaojin didn't say anything. He just looked at these people disheartenedly. What else can she do? She must have used her body to curry favor with him. I was really blind in the past to actually like such a vicious woman. Zhang Sanbao smirked. What did you say? Leaf Sky landed in front of Zhang Sanbao with a single step, imperceptibly emitting a terrifying pressure. I'm talking about her, Zhang Sanbao panicked. Although he was also at the great perfection undead stage and had mastered the third profound. Facing Yi Tian, there was an instinctive fear in his heart. You said that she used her body to curry favor with me. This is not only a humiliation to her, but also an insult to my character. Yi Tian said, I'm sorry. Zhang Sanbao hurriedly apologized. If sorry is useful, why do you need the law? At this moment, Qin Feiyang slowly said, Everyone looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang let out a long breath and looked at Yi Tian with a smile. Do you think it'll work if you talk reason with these people? Yi Tian frowned. Indeed, whether it was the death of Zhao Eryong and the other two, or the matter of the trial ground, these people insisted. If he continued to ask, he wouldn't be able to get anything out of them. Let me tell you, how can I deal with these trash? Qin Feiyang's eyes surged with killing intent as he charged toward Feng Wanyan. You, a great perfection undead stage, dare to court death? Feng Wanyan's face was full of contempt as his aura erupted. Great perfection undead stage. Then, a giant black python roared as it rushed out. I've heard from Zhang Sanbao that you have mastered the third profound of the Law of Thunder, but so what? My cultivation is stronger than yours, and with this superior heaven-defying technique, killing you is as easy as slaughtering a dog. Feng Wanyan smiled coldly, and the black python immediately pounced toward Qin Feiyang. Yi Tian was about to make a move. You don't need to make a move. I alone am enough to kill them. Qin Feiyang's contemptuous gaze caused Yi Tian's mind to be in a trance once again. This gaze was really familiar. Boom! The next moment, Qin Feiyang's aura erupted, and his cultivation instantly stepped into the great perfection undead stage. Rising Dragon Art. But he did not fully activate it, only increasing it by one small realm. Because one small realm was enough. Roar! As his cultivation increased, the third profound of the Law of Thunder was activated, and the Thunder Dragon roared out. Boom! In an instant, the Thunder Dragon and the Black Python fiercely collided, and the surrounding glaciers immediately began to collapse, and the void began to crack inch by inch. Puff! The next moment, Feng Wanyan spat out a mouthful of blood and stepped back repeatedly, looking extremely miserable. But Qin Feiyang stood firmly on the ground like a mountain, not moving at all. Although the third profound and the superior heaven-defying technique were comparable in power, Qin Feiyang's physical body was far stronger than Feng Wanyan's. Therefore, Qin Feiyang could rely on his powerful physical body to resolve the impact of the collision between the profound and heaven-defying techniques. But Feng Wanyan could not. He only had an ordinary physical body, so how could he withstand such an impact? What's going on? Zhang Sanbao and the others looked at this scene, their eyes full of shock. The means of the two could be considered to be on par. But why was Feng Wanyan unable to defeat the other party? For a spoiled brat like you, killing you is as easy as crushing an ant. Qin Feiyang shook his head indifferently. Who are you looking down on? Feng Wanyan roared, took out the heaven-defying divine artifact, activated it, and madly charged towards Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang was about to make a move. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly rushed over and blocked in front of him. It was Zhao Xiaojin. What are you doing? Qin Feiyang frowned. This is a grudge between me and them. Let me settle it. Zhao Xiaojin said without turning his head. This, Qin Feiyang hesitated and said, All right, let's fight. I'll take care of everything. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaojin's heart was at ease. Clang! The law of light surged out. Zhao Xiaojin waved his hand, and the holy light sword appeared. Then he grabbed the holy light sword and charged towards Feng Wanyan. Boom! Zhao Xiaojin, who had the cultivation of the perfection, imperishable stage, already had the absolute advantage. The holy light sword was invincible, and the black python immediately wailed and shattered. Crack! Then, Feng Wanyan's heaven-defying divine artifact also shattered with a loud sound. Damn it! Feng Wanyan's face turned pale as he hurriedly turned around and fled. Chapter 31-36 Escape. Zhao Xiaojin's eyes flashed with killing intent. The holy light sword flew out of his hand like a bolt of lightning. Ah! With a scream, Feng Wanyan's legs broke on the spot, and his entire body rolled on the ground. Originally, even if he lost his legs, he could still continue to escape. After all, he was a perfect undead stage powerhouse. He relied on flying, not running. But now his heart was filled with fear, and he completely forgot to continue escaping. Don't kill me! Zhang Sanbao, quickly save me! Brother Tian, quickly stop her! He roared again and again, incomparably panicked. But Yi Tian turned a deaf ear. Zhang Sanbao and the others looked at each other, also somewhat hesitant. If Yi Tian was not here, they would definitely help and frantically kill Zhao Shaojin. But at this moment, Yi Tian stood there like a mountain, pressing down on them until they couldn't breathe. Just now you said that your legs are on your body, and it's your freedom to go wherever you want, right? Zhao Shaojin waved his hand, and the holy light sword fell into his hand. He walked towards Feng Wanyin step by step. Don't! Feng Wanyin supported himself with both hands on the ground and kept dragging his body back. What about now? Your legs are no longer on your body. Do you still have freedom? At this moment, Zhao Shaojin was like a god of death. His eyes were filled with bone-chilling coldness. Zhao Shaojin, think carefully. He is the grandson of the 10th elder. If you kill him, you will not have a way out. Zhang Sanbao roared. Shut up. As the son of the East City Lord, can you have a little self-respect? Even a little is fine. I think it's you who is being his grandson. The key is that after being his grandson for so long, I don't see you getting any benefits. Zhao Shaojin had a look of ridicule. When Zhang Sanbao heard this, his face turned green and red. These words really did not give him the slightest bit of face, causing his self-respect to instantly disappear. Blood for blood. My father, my mother, and my brother's life must be used by you. Zhao Shaojin stared at Feng Wanyin, his eyes filled with madness. Suddenly, he looked at Zhang Sanbao and the others and roared, And you guys, today, all of you will go to hell for me and be buried with them. Zhao Shaojin roared. The holy light sword crazily slashed towards Feng Wanyin. No! Feng Wanyin roared, his face ashen. Whoosh! But at this moment, the two big-sized men guarding the divine prison took a step forward and stood in front of Feng Wanyin, slapping away the holy light sword with their palms. Zhao Shaojin was also forced to retreat. What are you doing? Yi Tian raised his eyebrows. Young Master Yi Tian, this matter hasn't been investigated thoroughly yet. Please reconsider. The two burly men cupped their hands and said they were also afraid. If Zhao Shaojin really killed Feng Wanyin here, then the 10th elder would definitely blame them for not protecting Feng Wanyin. Being remembered by the 10th elder was not a good thing. You still want to investigate. Other than him, who else entered the divine prison today? Your duty is to guard the divine prison. Since such a big thing has happened, it's hard for you to escape the blame. I think you guys are his accomplices. Zhao Shaojin roared in exasperation. Miss Jean, you can eat whatever you want, but you can't say whatever you want. The two burly men's eyes darkened. Zhao Shaojin did not want to bother with him anymore. He pointed his sword at Feng Wanyin and shouted, If you are still a man, then fight me fair and square, regardless of life and death. How could Feng Wanyin dare to fight with Zhao Shaojin now? He hid behind the two big men, his face full of fear. Young Master Yi Tian, let's not talk about whether or not this was done by Feng Wanyin. Even if it was, shouldn't we report it to the 10th elder first? The two big men looked at Yi Tian. Zhao Shaojin had already lost his mind, and no matter what he said, he would not listen. So he could only try to convince Yi Tian. Get out of the way. Yi Tian raised his eyebrows. He also understood that if he were to inform the 10th elder, then it would be impossible to kill Feng Wanyin. Young Master! The two of them were burning with anxiety. You guys are afraid of the 10th elder's wrath, but aren't you afraid of my grandfather's wrath? Yi Tian shouted. The two of them trembled and hurriedly knelt on the ground, saying, Young Master, we did not mean to offend you. Please forgive us. Scram! Yi Tian roared. Yes, the two of them trembled and scrambled to the side. Brother Tian, we have been brothers for many years. Is it appropriate for you to treat your brothers like this for a woman? Losing his life-saving straw, Feng Wanyan panicked again and roared at Yi Tian. If you really treat me as a big brother, would you do such a thing? Fight her like a man. Don't make me look down on you again. Yi Tian shook his head and sighed. All right, you're ruthless enough. Feng Wanyan's eyes were filled with resentment. He stared at Zhao Xiaojin and roared. Fight you can, but not one-on-one. All right, all of you attack together. Zhao Xiaojin glanced at Zhang Sanbao and the others, then looked at Feng Wanyan and said, All right, that's what you said. Feng Wanyan smiled sinisterly, looked at Yi Tian and said, You heard it too. If she dies later, don't blame us. Yi Tian frowned and turned to look at Zhao Xiaojin. Zhang Sanbao and the others were not weak, and they all grasped the profound meaning of the law. It was irrational to fight against so many people alone. Believe in her. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Yi Tian looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. He originally thought that Qin Feiyang would also object, but he didn't expect that he would actually support it. It's useless for us to object now, isn't it? So we might as well fulfill her wish. Besides, her strength has also made a huge breakthrough in this trial. I believe she can do it. Qin Feiyang transmitted. All right. Yi Tian exhaled and secretly warned, Xiaojin, be careful. Zhao Xiaojin stepped into the sky, looked down at Feng Wanyan and the others and shouted, All of you, get up here and accept your death. Feng Wanyan sneered, looked at Zhang Sanbao and the others and shouted, Kill her! However, Zhang Sanbao and the others looked at Yi Tian, not daring to make a move. I won't interfere, Yi Tian said. Hearing this, the group of people immediately calmed down. Boom! Immediately, terrifying auras erupted one after another. Originally, there were 15 people in the 3 districts. Although the young man was killed, there was now Zhang Sanbao, so there were still 15 people. Kill! With a fierce roar, the 15 people activated the power of law, rushed into the sky, and pounced toward Zhao Xiaojin. Zhang Sanbao rushed at the front, because among these people, he was the only one who had mastered the third profound. The third profound, the killing intent domain, directly enveloped Zhao Xiaojin. Waves of blood-colored storms, carrying the power to destroy the world, rushed towards Zhao Xiaojin from all directions. Zhao Xiaojin waved the holy radiant sword and slashed at a storm. Boom! The storm disintegrated. Horrifying fluctuations immediately rolled out inside the killing intent domain. Zhao Xiaojin, you are not our opponent. If you change your mind now and become my woman in the future, I can let you go. Zhang Sanbao transmitted his voice. To be honest, his shameless attitude really made people speechless. After launching a sneak attack in the trial ground, he wronged Zhao Xiaojin and caused the death of Zhao Eryong's family. And he actually wanted Zhao Xiaojin to be his woman? He must be dreaming. In your fucking dreams. Zhao Xiaojin was furious and slashed at Zhang Sanbao. Stubborn. Zhang Sanbao snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, more than a dozen blood-colored storms rushed towards Zhao Xiaojin. Boom! Facing more than a dozen blood-colored storms, Zhao Xiaojin was sent flying on the spot and spat out blood. At the same time, behind her, the red-clothed woman and purple-clothed youth took the opportunity to attack Zhao Xiaojin, their eyes filled with a cold light. In their opinion, this sneak attack would definitely succeed, because no matter how fast Zhao Xiaojin's reaction was, she would not be able to react to a sudden sneak attack. However, they had underestimated Zhao Xiaojin. At this moment, in order to take revenge, she could be said to be willing to pay any price. Facing the sneak attack of the red-clothed woman and purple-clothed youth, she did not dodge at all. Their profundities of law struck her back, and she spat out a mouthful of blood again. Her body was also covered in blood. But it was also at this moment Zhao Xiaojin endured the intense pain and suddenly turned around. Her hands shot out like an eagle's claws and grabbed the heads of the two people. How is this possible? The two of them turned pale with shock. They were actually not dead. You weren't my match in the trial grounds, let alone now. Even if I give you a chance, you won't be able to kill me. You two are trash. Zhao Xiaojin smiled sinisterly. Her 5 fingers were like steel bars, and accompanied by a cracking sound, their skulls were crushed. The intense pain immediately caused the two of them to howl miserably, and an indescribable fear surged out from their hearts. Go to hell, bastards! Zhao Xiaojin roared. Her hands exerted force again, and the two people's heads immediately exploded like watermelons. Flesh and blood splattered everywhere. It also landed on Zhao Xiaojin's body and face, making her look exceptionally ferocious at this moment, like a female devil. What a powerful force! Yi Tian's pupils constricted. Whoosh! Suddenly, 2 divine souls ran out of the blood mist and fled in fear. They were the souls of the red-clothed woman and purple-clothed youth. But would Zhao Xiaojin give them a chance? Obviously not. She suddenly raised her blood-stained arm and slapped them. Accompanied by 2 desperate screams. The 2 souls were annihilated on the spot. They're dead! Zhang Sanbao and the others could not help but feel their scalps go numb when they saw the scene. Whoosh! Just as the group of people were distracted, Zhao Xiaojin activated the power of laws. The light sword, judgment sword, and holy light sword attacked the 3 of them together. As for her, she rushed out like a bolt of lightning and charged towards Zhang Sanbao. Dodge! A black-clothed youth roared, and the group of people immediately shuddered. The 3 people who were targeted by the light sword, judgment sword, and holy light sword immediately turned around and fled when they saw the esoteric divine powers coming at them. However, it was too late. The 3 esoteric divine powers turned into terrifying killing weapons that directly crushed their heads and souls, killing them on the spot. In just an instant, the 15 people became 10 people. Blood splattered in the void, dyeing the sky red. Zhao Xiaojin. At the same time, looking at Zhao Xiaojin, who was charging towards him, Zhang Sanbao also roared angrily. Divine power surged out as he threw a punch. You deserve to die more than them. Zhao Xiaojin smiled sinisterly and also threw a punch. Chapter 30:137. That's right. Although the young man and the others deserved to die, at least they didn't sneak around. However, this Zhang Sanbao was a classic example of a treacherous person who acted one way on the surface. Should I kill you? Damn bitch. Just you wait. I'll let you taste a fate worse than death. Zhang Sanbao laughed sinisterly. Just you? Zhao Xiaojin looked disdainful. Boom! The 2 fists met. Under Zhang Sanbao's punches that were like sandbags, Zhao Xiaojin's fist seemed extremely delicate and soft. However, the moment the 2 fists collided, a terrifying power surged out like a flood that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Zhang Sanbao immediately screamed in pain, and his entire body flew out like a meteorite. His fist and his entire arm were instantly shattered. How is this possible? Not only Zhang Sanbao, the remaining 9 people, including Yi Tian and the 2 middle-aged men guarding the prison, were all in disbelief. What kind of power was this? How could it crush an ultimate expert of the same level? Yi Tian turned to Qin Feiyang and asked, Is this the breakthrough you mentioned? That's right. The fire dragon is undergoing the tribulation in the trial ground. She used the power of the tribulation to temper her body to the supreme level. Qin Feiyang nodded. I see. Yi Tian nodded in realization. In terms of the law, only Zhang Sanbao can match her, but Zhang Sanbao's body is far inferior to hers. As for the others, their bodies are not strong and their law power is not strong. Zhao Xiaojin's strength is enough to kill them instantly. so there's no suspense in this battle. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. But as far as I know, 2 of them have heaven-defying divine artifacts. One of them is Zhang Sanbao, and the other is the man in green called Wang Jiang, the son of the West City Lord. Yi Tian transmitted his voice. Wang Jiang. Qin Feiyang looked at the man in green. That person was one of the few perfection undead stage experts. At that time in the trial grounds, this person and the muscular young man were the most arrogant. So he was the son of the West City's city lord. It's useless even if you have a heaven-defying divine artifact. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Yi Tian was stunned. As the grandson of the Vice Alliance Master, even your younger brother's magic sword of slaughter is only a pinnacle godly artifact. Even Feng Wanyun's heaven-defying divine artifact is only a low-grade one, let alone the sons of 2 city lords. Even if they have heaven-defying divine artifacts, they would at most be low-grade or mid-grade. Is such a heaven-defying divine artifact a match for the 3rd profound of the laws of light? Qin Feiyang smiled confidently. How do you know about the Slayer magic sword? Yi Tian frowned. The battle between your brother and Madman Mo, as well as the battle between you and Qin Feiyang. The entire Sky Cloud realm knows about it. It's not strange for me to know. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yi Tian nodded. At the same time in the sky, Zhao Shaojin sent Zhang Sanbao flying with a punch, and the killing intent domain also shattered. Following that, she charged towards the others. Because she knew that Zhang Sanbao was the strongest, if she killed him first, it would definitely delay some time. So it was best to get rid of the others before that. A yellow-clothed woman, seeing Zhao Shaojin charge towards her, immediately turned pale. She only had a perfect, imperishable realm cultivation, and she had just comprehended the 1st profound of the laws of light. How could she be Zhao Shaojin's opponent? She couldn't even escape. Clang! The holy light sword fell, and the yellow-clothed woman screamed miserably. Her body was cut in half on the spot, and her soul was instantly annihilated. Swish! At this time, Zhao Shaojin was like a demoness, covered in blood, emotionless, and cold. Every time the holy light sword attacked, 1 person would die. When the azure-clothed man saw this scene, he was terrified, and his soul was scared out of his wits. They never thought that this woman would be so terrifying. Feng Wanyan was the same. He thought that Zhang Sanbao and the others could easily kill Zhao Shaojin, but he didn't expect that Zhang Sanbao and the others would be defeated. In just a few breaths, only Zhang Sanbao and the other 5 perfect, imperishable realm cultivators were left. You can go to hell too. Zhao Shaojin went crazy and charged towards the azure-clothed man, Wang Jiang. Wang Jiang was shocked and hurriedly turned around to flee. How could he have the courage to fight now? Just looking at it was terrifying. Trash, trash, all of you are trash. Hurry up and join forces to kill her, or you will all die. Feng Wanyan roared. But who would listen? No one listened to him, and they were all fleeing. Even Zhang Sanbao had the thought of retreating. We can't let them escape. Qin Feiyang transmitted his voice to Yi Tian. I'm only a perfect, imperishable realm cultivator. How can I trap them? Yi Tian thought. Then I'll do it. Qin Feiyang spoke and was about to open the Emperor Divine prison. But at this moment, Zhao Shaojin spat out a mouthful of blood essence, and her speed increased several times. In an instant, she caught up with Wang Jiang and attacked with her sword. No, even if Wang Jiang had a heaven-defying artifact, he forgot to resist and looked at Zhao Shaojin and screamed. However, Zhao Shaojin did not show any mercy, and her sword fell. Wang Jiang also died on the spot. This is the forbidden technique that she used to escape with you in the trial ground. Yi Tian turned to look at Qin Feiyang with a trace of surprise on his face. You have such a good relationship with her, don't you know? Qin Feiyang asked. I don't know. Yi Tian shook her head. Yes, this is her forbidden technique, at the cost of vitality. Qin Feiyang nodded and silently took out the divine sound transmission stone. At this time, Zhang Sanbao and the others were already scared out of their wits. Under such circumstances, there was a high possibility that they would tell the truth themselves. As long as it was recorded, it would be irrefutable evidence. Whoosh! After killing Wang Jiang, Zhao Shaojin rushed to the next person. No, please, it's all our fault. We shouldn't have listened to Feng Wanyun's instigation and come to kill you. Sorry, just let us go. The remaining 4 people, other than Zhang Sanbao, all knelt in the air in despair and begged for mercy. Sure enough, as Qin Feiyang had expected, these people told the truth in the face of death. Qin Feiyang's eyes revealed a trace of a smile. At the same time, Yi Tian's face also darkened as her gaze swept towards Feng Wanyan. Feng Wanyan felt Yi Tian's gaze, and his heart immediately turned cold as he roared, "What nonsense are you talking about? When did I instigate you? It's you. Back then, Zhao Shaojin and Mo Wuhui made you lose face in the East City, and then instigated us to kill them in the trial ground. It's also you who killed Zhao Eryong's family. Zhao Shaojin, what we said is true. He told us personally not long ago. Every injustice has its perpetrator. Every debt has its debtor. If you want revenge, go find him." The few of them looked at Zhao Shaojin and anxiously roared. "Although Feng Wanyan is the real culprit, you are also accomplices." Zhao Shaojin laughed sinisterly. Like a ghost, he swept across the sky like lightning, his sword rising and falling. Accompanied by a series of screams, the blood of the 4 people splattered across the sky one after another. In this way, only Zhang Sanbao was left. Zhao Shaojin turned to look at Zhang Sanbao. "Shaojin, let's talk things out." Zhang Sanbao retreated in fear as he raised his other hand and waved it with a flattering smile. "There's nothing to talk about. Although I didn't like you in the past, I didn't hate you either. But I didn't expect you to do such a thing." Zhao Shaojin landed in front of Zhang Sanbao with a murderous aura. "Don't. I was forced to do it. Feng Wanyan is the grandson of the 10th elder. How could I not listen to him? If I didn't listen, not only me, even my father and my family would suffer his revenge. They're right. Every injustice has its perpetrator. Every debt has its debtor. Go find him." Zhang Sanbao was also scared out of his wits, his face full of fear. "What about my father? My mother? My brother? Do they all deserve to die? I was right, you're a good-for-nothing." Zhao Shaojin roared and slashed with her sword. In a hurry, Zhang Sanbao took out a golden thin sword and placed it in front of him. This was his heaven-defying artifact. Just as Qin Feiyang had guessed, it was just a low-level, heaven-defying artifact. Clang! Accompanied by a deafening sound, the holy radiant sword broke the thin sword. At the same time, a neat line of blood appeared on Zhang Sanbao's body. This line of blood started from the center of his head all the way to his lower body. Obviously, when the holy radiant sword broke the thin sword, it also split Zhang Sanbao's body into 2. Zhang Sanbao stood in the void in a daze, his eyes wide open in anger. But in the next moment, accompanied by a shrill scream, his body split open from the middle, blood gushing out. Zhao Shaojin looked at this scene coldly, raised the holy radiant sword, and shattered Zhang Sanbao's shattered soul, completely killing him. Strong. Yes, as expected of the East City's genius girl. The 2 guards of the divine prison looked at Zhao Shaojin and muttered to themselves, their eyes filled with shock. Shaojin has grown up. A smile appeared on Yi Tian's face. It's hard not to grow up after encountering such a thing. Qin Feiyang sighed, raised his hand and grabbed the thin sword that was cut in half, flying through the air and into his heart. The thin sword was a heaven-defying artifact. It had its own consciousness and struggled to leave. If you don't want your soul to be destroyed, stay here obediently. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed coldly. The thin sword trembled and immediately became obedient. What are you doing? Yi Tian looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Zhao Shaojin just happens to lack a heaven-defying artifact. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and sent the thin sword to the black tortoise world. That's true. However, a low-level heaven-defying artifact is not worthy of her. I will find her a higher-level heaven-defying artifact. Yi Tian transmitted his voice. That would be for the best. Then I will accept Zhang Sanbao's heaven-defying artifact. Qin Feiyang smiled and kept the sound transmission godstone. The evidence was already in his hands. Let's see how Feng Wanyin will argue. As long as you're happy. Yi Tian shook his head and laughed. Looking at Zhao Shaojin again, after killing Zhang Sanbao, she stood in the air and looked at the sky. The sadness in her body became even stronger. Even after killing these people, the anger in her heart could not be quelled. Shua! All of a sudden, she lowered her head to look at Feng Wanyin and shouted, "And you, Clang!" The holy radiant sword shone brightly. She grabbed the holy radiant sword and charged towards Feng Wanyin with murderous intent. Chapter 30-138. Zhao Shaojin, don't! Feng Wanyin roared in despair. Even Zhang Sanbao and the others who had comprehended the profound meaning of the laws were powerless in front of Zhao Shaojin, let alone him. Although he had a perfect immortal cultivation base, although he had a high-level heaven-defying divine art, he did not even comprehend a single law power. He was just an ordinary, utmost powerful being. However, Zhao Shaojin turned a deaf ear to him. Qin Feiyang, Yi Tian, and the fire dragon also looked at him coldly. The two middle-aged men guarding the divine prison did not dare to protect him now, because Zhang Sanbao and the others had already told the truth. If they still helped now, they would really be going against Yi Tian. Yi Tian was not someone a hedonistic son like Feng Wanyin could compare to. Although he was the eldest grandson of the vice leader, he himself was extremely outstanding. Even without the vice leader as a backer with his own ability, he could still obtain respect and become a formidable person admired by the world. But Feng Wanyin could not. Without the 10th elder, he was an inconspicuous and pitiful worm that no one cared about. Clang! The holy radiance sword's divine light illuminated half the sky. The terrifying sword Qi tore through the sky, and the glacier collapsed crazily. Feng Wanyin was like a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Drowned by the sword Qi, his entire body was instantly mangled, and he was covered in blood. He was in despair. This was a despair that he had never felt before. It was as if the death god was standing in front of him, waving at him. In the blink of an eye, just as Zhao Shaojin was about to arrive, a strand of divine power pierced through the air like lightning, striking the holy radiant sword. With a loud crack, the holy radiance sword shattered on the spot. At the same time, that terrifying force also sent Zhao Shaojin flying, blood gushing out of his mouth. Qin Feiyang was slightly stunned. He raised his head and saw a pale yellow figure rushing over at a speed that was difficult to catch with the naked eye. Not good. It's the 10th elder. Yi Tian transmitted his voice. 10th elder. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. He suddenly jumped out and grabbed Feng Wanyin. Feng Wanyin was excited. Once his grandfather came, who would dare to kill him. Suddenly, he felt someone grab him. When he looked up, he was shocked and shouted, "What are you trying to do?" "How dare you!" The 10th elder's roar rang out at the same time. It was as deafening as thunder. Humph! Qin Feiyang coldly snorted. His big hand suddenly fell, a palm strike towards Feng Wanyin's head. "Grandpa!" Feng Wanyin roared in horror. But in the next moment, the roaring stopped abruptly, and Feng Wanyin's head exploded in the void like a watermelon. You're courting death! The 10th elder was seething with anger. How dare he kill his grandson in front of him? Wasn't this a blatant provocation to him? Zhao, Shaojin, Yi Tian, and the 2 guards of the divine prison were also dumbfounded. They didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be so bold. The 10th elder had personally come. Logically speaking, no matter who it was, they should give the 10th elder some face and let Feng Wanyan go for the time being. However, this person completely ignored the 10th elder's reprimand. The 10th elder rushed over aggressively, his eyes fixed on Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's face was devoid of fear. He raised his head and calmly watched. It was a white-bearded old man wearing a pale yellow robe. He was skinny and had deep-set eyes. His dark eyes were like a pair of snake eyes, emitting a sinister light. The 10th elder was already the top figure of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. The 2 alliance leaders, the 10th elder, of course. There might be other experts hiding. Although they might not be stronger than the 2 alliance leaders, they were at least higher in status than the 10th elder. It was just that Qin Feiyang didn't know. Whoosh! The 10th elder rushed over, his eyes flashing with killing intent. His wrinkled hand was like an eagle's claw, grabbing towards Qin Feiyang. Be careful! Zhao, Shaojin exclaimed. Swish! At the same time, Yi Tian took a step forward and stood in front of Qin Feiyang. Seeing Yi Tian suddenly appear in front of Qin Feiyang, the 10th elder's expression changed, and he immediately came to a halt. Although Yi Tian's strength was not as strong as the 10th elder, as the eldest grandson of the Vice Alliance leader, even the 10th elder had to be wary of him. Yi Tian, what are you doing? He stared at Yi Tian coldly. Yi Tian said, 10th elder, I should be the one asking you that. What are you doing? The 10th elder glanced at Qin Feiyang and said, coldly, he killed my grandson. Of course, I want him to die with him. Yi Tian frowned and said, why don't you ask him why he killed Feng Wanyan first? No matter what, he has to die for killing my grandson. The 10th elder shouted. 10th elder, you're an elder of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. How can you be so rude and unreasonable? There was a hint of anger in Yi Tian's expression. How dare you? You're the grandson of the Vice Alliance leader. But I'm an elder of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. You don't even have the least bit of respect in front of me? The 10th elder shouted angrily. Respect is something you have to earn yourself. Shielding and conniving is unreasonable. May I ask, how do you expect us juniors to respect you? Yi Tian said with a cold face. What a sharp tongue. Today, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your grandfather. The 10th elder took a step forward, and a terrifying divine power rolled out. Yi Tian and Qin Feiyang were immediately imprisoned. The 10th elder raised his arm and slapped Yi Tian. Do you have the right to teach my grandson on behalf of me? However, before the slap could land, a hoarse voice rang out from the void above. Following that, a green-robed old man appeared, holding a snake-shaped walking stick in his hand. There was a trace of shocking coldness in his eyes. Who else could it be but the Vice Alliance leader? The 10th elder's expression changed. The 2 burly men guarding the divine prison also suddenly changed their expressions. Greetings, Vice Alliance leader. The 3 of them hurriedly bowed. The Vice Alliance master shouted, why aren't you withdrawing your pressure? Yes. The 10th elder nodded and quickly withdrew his divine power. Qin Feiyang and Yi Tian finally regained their freedom and raised their heads to look. There was a trace of joy on Yi Tian's face. Qin Feiyang's eyes flashed with a bright light. He finally saw the Vice Alliance leader with his own eyes. He did not expect the Vice Alliance leader to come in person. This might be an opportunity. Because of the matter with Zhao Xiaojin's family, he and Yi Tian could be considered to be on the same side. Therefore, he could use this relationship to gradually get closer to the Vice Alliance leader. Moreover, Because of this relationship with Yi Tian, he could also gain the Vice Alliance leader's trust even faster. Zhao Shaojin also hurriedly landed beside the two of them. "Are you all right?" Qin Feiyong retracted his gaze and asked in a low voice. "It's nothing serious." Zhao Shaojin shook his head. The injury was quite serious, but it was not fatal. The Vice Alliance leader took a step forward and landed in front of Yi Tian, asking with concern, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine." Yi Tian shook his head and pointed to Qin Feiyong and Zhao Shaojin. "Let me introduce them to you. They're Zhao Shaojin and Mo Wuji that everyone has been talking about recently." The Vice Alliance leader looked at Qin Feiyong and Zhao Shaojin. "Greetings, Vice Alliance leader." Qin Feiyong and Zhao Shaojin looked at each other and hurriedly bowed. The Vice Alliance leader nodded and said indifferently, "Since Tiana chose to stand with you, then there must be something wrong with this matter. Tell me, what exactly is going on?" "Grandfather, it's like this." Yi Tian recounted everything that had happened in detail, and in full detail. "What? Zhao Eryong's family has been killed?" The Vice Alliance leader raised his eyebrows. Their bodies are all here." Yi Tian waved his hand, and the 3 corpses appeared. The 3 corpses were originally placed on the snow. However, because the battle between Zhao Shaojin and Zhang Sanbao was too intense, Yi Tian was afraid that the corpses would be damaged, so he temporarily kept them in the spatial divine item. Looking at the 3 corpses, Zhao Xiaojin's expression dimmed again, and an invisible sadness spread out. Yi Tian patted her shoulder, looked at the 10th elder opposite him, and said angrily, "This is what your grandson, Feng Wanyin, did." The 10th elder snorted, "This is just your side of the story." They were there the whole time. They heard it with their own ears. Yi Tian pointed to the 2 middle-aged men. The 10th elder and the Vice Alliance leader immediately looked at the 2 of them. The 2 of them quickly bowed and said, "At that time Zhang Sanbao and the others indeed said so." The 10th elder stared at the 2 of them, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. The 2 of them clearly felt a murderous intent, and their faces turned pale. "10th elder, you don't have to look at them like that. They are just telling the truth to my grandfather." Yi Tian said, "Where's the evidence? Words have no proof." "If you can show me evidence, I have nothing to say. If you can't produce evidence, then you are colluding with each other to harm my grandson." The 10th elder snorted coldly. "Isn't this evidence?" Yi Tian said angrily. "They were all killed by you. The dead tell no tales. Isn't it up to you to say anything?" The 10th elder sneered, looked at the Vice Alliance leader, and said, "Sir, we are all reasonable people. We must show evidence of this matter. Otherwise, I will report it to the Alliance leader and let him personally make the decision for me." "Are you using the Alliance leader to threaten me?" The Vice Alliance leader's eyes flashed. "I wouldn't dare. I just don't want my grandson and the others to die unjustly." The 10th elder said. The Vice Alliance leader looked at the 10th elder coldly, then turned to Yi Tian and said, "Do you have evidence?" "Grandfather, they are testifying. Isn't the evidence enough?" Yi Tian pointed at the 2 men and frowned. "Don't you think it's enough?" Before the Vice Alliance leader could speak, the 10th elder sneered. Zhao Shaojin sent a voice transmission. "Brother Yi Tian, what should we do?" "Don't worry." Yi Tian comforted and looked at the 10th elder angrily. "The corpses are right here, and they are testifying. What else do you want? I know you are protective, but I didn't expect it to be to this extent. No matter what, you are still an elder. Can't you be more shameless?" "Vice Alliance leader, did you see that? This is the good grandson you taught. He even dares to insult me in public. I think the Rogue Cultivator Alliance has become the world of your Yi family. You are simply lawless. I must report this matter to the Alliance leader." The 10th elder roared. The Vice Alliance leader's face suddenly sank and said gloomily, "As an elder of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, you should know what can and can't be said. Isn't that so?" Yi Tian relied on you as a backer and colluded with others to harm my grandson, and now he is making a false countercharge. But as the Vice Alliance leader, not only did you not deal with it impartially, but you are also prepared to protect them. Do you think that you can control the entire rogue Cultivator Alliance? The 10th Elder shouted. He was not afraid of making a big deal out of it, because he could see that these people did not have irrefutable evidence. At the same time, the Vice Alliance leader stared at the 10th Elder, narrowed his eyes, and his face was extremely gloomy. Chapter 30, 139. Sigh. Suddenly, a sigh sounded. Everyone immediately looked at the source of the sigh. It turned out to be Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang looked at the 10th Elder and shook his head in disappointment. I really didn't expect that our rogue Cultivator Alliance would have such a shameless elder. The vice leader looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Quite a bold little guy, daring to humiliate the 10th Elder in public. At the same time, the 10th Elder clenched his hands and stared at Qin Feiyang gloomily. If there is no evidence, are you going to continue to be so shameless? Qin Feiyang looked at him fearlessly. You'd better apologize to this elder right now. The 10th Elder said word by word. What did I do wrong? Why should I apologize to you? Qin Feiyang was suspicious. You keep on calling me shameless. Such unrestrained behavior is enough for this elder to behead you for a great crime. The 10th Elder roared. Qin Feiyang said with grievance, the point is you are shameless to begin with, and you won't let others say it. You, the 10th Elder, was furious. As a person, it's important to know one's own limits. If you don't even have a little self-awareness, then do you still deserve to be called a human? It's more like being a beast. Elder, don't you think so? Qin Feiyang chuckled. Interesting. The vice leader looked at Qin Feiyang curiously. There was actually such a fearless person in the rogue Cultivator Alliance, but it was really satisfying. As the vice leader of the rogue Cultivator Alliance, he had to take the overall situation into consideration, so he had been more polite to the 10th Elder. According to his temper, if it was someone else, he would have already killed him with a slap. Now he finally felt a lot better. A junior humiliating the 10th Elder like this was more exciting than him. Looking at the 10th Elder again, he was already furious to the extreme, and his entire body was filled with a terrifying killing intent. It's not too late to kill him now. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. What do you mean? Silenced. Yi Tian and Zhao Shaojin looked at each other in confusion, but their spirits were immediately lifted. Since he was so confident, could it be that he had some evidence in his hands? Looking at the gloomy 10th Elder, Qin Feiyang shook his head and sighed. Elder, please open your dog eyes and look carefully. After he finished speaking, he took out the divine voice transmission stone. As a strand of divine power flowed into it, a divine light shot into the sky. Immediately, the images that had been recorded not long ago slowly unfolded in the sky. This, Yi Tian was slightly taken aback and sent a voice transmission. When did you record this? Obviously just before. Qin Feiyang smiled secretly. Amazing. I actually didn't think about it. Yi Tian secretly gave him a thumbs up. With this video, there would be no problem at all. Zhao Shaojin also looked at Qin Feiyang with a face full of admiration. This move was truly ingenious. Very soon, the video ended. Qin Feiyang put away the divine voice transmission stone and looked at the 10th Elder, only to see that the 10th Elder's face was extremely ugly at this moment. 10th Elder, if you have anything to say now, just say it. We are all ears. Yi Tian looked at the 10th Elder and smiled. The 10th Elder glanced at Yi Tian and then looked at Qin Feiyang. The murderous intent in his eyes was undisguised. I'm quite scared when you look at me like that. Qin Feiyang chuckled. Yi Tian couldn't help but roll his eyes. Do you look like you're scared? Do you still want to report it to the leader now? The deputy leader also looked at the 10th elder with a sneer. This is just Zhang Sanbao's side of the story. We can't rule out the possibility that they are framing us. The 10th elder shouted, somewhat flustered and exasperated, still quibbling. Will a person lie in the face of death? Besides, it's not one of them who said so, it's all of them who said so. Isn't that enough proof? Elder, we're all living under the same roof. We still have to maintain our dignity. Otherwise, who knows how others will talk about you behind your back in the future? Qin Feiyang chuckled. The 10th elder stared at Qin Feiyang fiercely. If looks could kill, Qin Feiyang would have been killed. Since in your opinion, this video doesn't mean anything, let's go to the leader and let him see it with his own eyes. The deputy leader said. The 10th elder's pupils contracted. What's wrong? Weren't you clamoring to report it to the leader just now? Now that we're taking the initiative to accompany you, you don't dare to do it? The deputy leader's face was full of ridicule. Okay, this matter ends here. Your name is Mo Wuji, right? The Hall of the Exalted is not fun. I advise you to be vigilant at all times. The 10th elder suppressed his anger and looked at Qin Feiyang gloomily. Then he turned around and left angrily. Thank you for your advice, elder. This disciple will pay attention. Qin Feiyang smiled. Hearing this, the 10th elder couldn't help but clench his fists and left without looking back. How awesome! Yi Tian laughed. Thank you. Zhao Shaojin looked at Qin Feiyang with a trace of gratitude in his eyes. If it weren't for Qin Feiyang's foresight, this matter really wouldn't have ended. It's okay. Qin Feiyang smiled. The deputy leader looked at Qin Feiyang and nodded in appreciation. Not bad, not bad. My Rogue Cultivator Alliance is really full of talents. I don't deserve to be called a talent. Qin Feiyang hurriedly waved his hand, looking flattered. Don't be modest. From this video that you recorded, I can see that you're a meticulous young man. My Rogue Cultivator Alliance needs talents like you. Work hard. I hope you can be like Yi Tian and become the future pillar of our Rogue Cultivator Alliance. The deputy leader smiled hoarsely. This disciple will work hard and live up to your expectations. Qin Feiyang bowed and said, Yes, then you guys deal with the aftermath. After saying that, the deputy leader also left. We deal with the aftermath? Qin Feiyang was stunned. There's no other way. My grandfather is such a person. He doesn't like to care about such trivial matters. Yi Tian shook his head and smiled. But how are we going to deal with the aftermath? Although Zhang Sanbao and the others are all dead, there's a good saying that the father is at fault for not teaching the son well. We can't just let it end like this. Qin Feiyang frowned. That's right. My father guarded the Kanglan Snow Mountain for countless years for the sake of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. And now he died because of these villains. If it ends like this, won't it be disappointing? Zhao Shaojin said sorrowfully. This, Yi Tian pondered for a while and sighed. It's difficult to hold the elders responsible for the matters of the young people. Then my father and mother aren't elders? Zhao Shaojin said angrily. Shaojin, don't be anxious. Actually, you don't have to look for my grandfather for this matter. Just look for Elder Qing and the others. Because Elder Qing and the others are not only the guardians of the 4 districts, but also the enforcers. Yi Tian said. Zhao Shaojin said, Then let's go look for them now. You've just come out of the trial ground, and so many things have happened one after another. You must be tired. Go and rest first, then find a place to bury Uncle and Auntie. As for the rest, I'll personally make a trip to the 4 districts. I promise to give you a satisfactory explanation. Yi Tian stretched out his hand and tidied Zhao Xiaojin's messy hair with a smile. Bury! Zhao Xiaojin lowered her head and looked at the corpses of Zhao Eryong and the other two with tears in her eyes. Then I'll bring them back to the ancestral land. Yi Tian pondered for a while and nodded. Okay. Then he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Brother Amo, I'll have to trouble you to accompany Xiao Jin. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then I'll go to the 4 districts first. As soon as he finished speaking, Yi Tian flew towards the alliance capital. After he watched Yi Tian leave, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Zhao Xiaojin with a puzzled expression and asked, Where's your ancestral land? My ancestral land isn't at Azure Wave Snow Mountain. Zhao Xiaojin shook her head. It's not at Azure Wave Snow Mountain? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Even though I was born in the Alliance capital, my Zhao clan's ancestral land is at Cloud Sea City. My second uncle, eldest uncle, and other cousins are at Cloud Sea City as well. It's also because of my father that my Zhao clan's Cloud Sea City is one of the 3 extraordinary clans. Zhao Xiaojin said. So that's how it is. Qin Feiyang nodded with understanding. Zhao Xiaojin squatted on the ground and gazed at the corpses of Zhao Eryong and the others. She muttered, Father, mother, brother, I'll send all of you back right now. As soon as she finished speaking, she put away their corpses, turned around, soared into the sky, and flashed swiftly towards the east. Qin Feiyang teleported and chased after her like a bolt of lightning. About 2 hours later, the 2 of them arrived at the border. After Zhao Eryong was captured, the people here naturally changed. Now it was a black-robed old man who was also at the Greater Mastery Sovereign Realm. His face was old, and his eyes were gloomy. Greetings, my lord. The 2 of them landed in front of the black-robed old man and cupped their fists. You seem to be... The black-robed old man sized them up. Yes. We are Mo Yuan and Zhao Xiaojin who have been discussed recently. Qin Feiyang nodded. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to escape? The black-robed old man frowned. Escape? Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin were stunned. If not, why did you leave Azure Wave Snow Mountain? Young people have to be responsible. If you make a mistake, you have to face it bravely and not run away. Besides, don't you care about your father and the others? The black-robed old man looked at Zhao Xiaojin and snorted coldly. My father and the others are already dead. Zhao Xiaojin whispered. Dead. What's going on? The black-robed old man was bewildered. Senior, a lot of things happened before. We can't explain it clearly in a short time. We are now returning to the Zhao family's ancestral land to bury Zhao Eryong and the others. Qin Feiyang said. Then you have to explain it clearly. Otherwise, this old man won't let you out. The black-robed old man shook his head. All right. Qin Feiyang nodded and told him everything in detail. It can't be. The black-robed old man was shocked. Qin Feiyang said, If you don't believe me, you can send a message to the deputy leader. Okay, I'll ask. The black-robed old man nodded, turned around and took a step forward, disappearing without a trace. Not long after, the black-robed old man appeared again and nodded with a smile. This old man has confirmed that it is indeed as you said. You have been wronged. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. All right then. The black-robed old man took out a token and waved his hand. The token broke through the air and landed in the void in front of him. The barrier suddenly flickered and a crack appeared. Go, it's a good chance to relax outside. The black-robed old man waved his hand and smiled. Thank you, sir. Qin Feiyang cupped his hands and said, then left the barrier with Zhao Xiaojin and quickly disappeared at the end of the snow mountain. After Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin disappeared, the black-robed old man's eyes flashed with a cold smile. Chapter 3140 Ocean of Cloud City. Qin Feiyang had heard a lot about this extraordinary city, but it was the first time he'd been there. It seemed like the headquarters of Joy Heaven was located in the city, the western district of the city. A huge mansion was situated at the outskirts of the city. The mansion occupied an area of a few hundred kilometers, and it had numerous grand halls. Before the entrance to the mansion, 4 imperishable realm bodyguards stood straight and tall. There was a Qilin statue on each side, and it seemed extraordinarily mighty. There was a gorgeous plaque on it, and the words Zhao Mansion were inscribed on it. Swoosh! Suddenly, 2 figures descended before the entrance. Who is it? The 4 guards immediately shot their gazes towards them. Yes, they were Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin. You are. A trace of surprise and bewilderment instantly crept up their eyes when they saw Zhao Xiaojin. Why don't they recognize you? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. I rarely return to the ancestral grounds. Even if they recognize me, they don't have a deep impression of me. Zhao Xiaojin spoke softly. Is that so? Qin Feiyang nodded. I'm Zhao Xiaojin. Zhao Xiaojin gazed at them as she spoke. Zhao Xiaojin? They were slightly stunned, and then they hurriedly asked, Are you that eldest young miss who lives in the Alliance capital? That's me. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. No wonder you look familiar. Eldest young miss, please come in. One of the guards hurriedly went forward to welcome her, and then he gazed at the other guard and shouted, Quickly report this to the Patriarch. All right. Hearing this, the other guard immediately ran inside. When Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin entered the mansion with the guard, it didn't take long for a group of people to arrive. They were led by 2 middle-aged men, and they seemed to be around the age of 40. One of them was an initial stage ruler, while the other was a quasi-ruler. There was a group of maidservants and servants behind them, and the guard who'd gone to report was amongst them. It really is Xiaojin. The 2 middle-aged men gazed at Zhao Xiaojin, and their faces were instantly filled with joy. Eldest uncle, second uncle. Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. All right. Last night, I was still dreaming about your family. I didn't expect it to really come true. You're back today. Where are your father, mother, and Zhao Yang? They didn't come back together. The 2 of them were overjoyed. They looked behind Zhao Xiaojin and asked. Zhao Xiaojin's face immediately darkened. When the 2 of them saw Zhao Xiaojin's reaction, their eyelids twitched and they asked, Did something happen? Let's go to the main hall first. Zhao Xiaojin glanced at the maids and servants behind them and smiled faintly. All right. The 2 of them nodded and turned around to lead Zhao Xiaojin and Qin Feiyang forward. About 100 breaths later, the 4 of them arrived in front of a magnificent palace. Zhao Xiaojin glanced at the main hall and walked in first. Qin Feiyang was about to follow him in, but Zhao Xiaojin's eldest and second uncles suddenly stopped him. Qin Feiyang looked at the 2 of them suspiciously. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle said apologetically, Be careful, this is the meeting hall of the Zhao family. Outsiders are not allowed to enter. It's okay, he's my friend, Zhao Xiaojin said. The 2 of them looked at each other and stopped Qin Feiyang. They smiled and said, I'm sorry we've offended you. It's okay. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly and entered the main hall. The main hall was very spacious, and the decorations were quite luxurious. Go and prepare tea. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle looked at the maid beside him and said something before following him into the main hall. No need. The others are waiting outside, Zhao Xiaojin said. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaojin's eldest and second uncles looked at each other and felt more and more uneasy. They waved to the maids and servants and closed the door of the main hall. Little Jean, what exactly happened? The 2 of them walked in front of Zhao Xiaojin and frowned. Zhao Xiaojin sighed. With a wave of his hand, the corpses of Zhao Eryong and the other 2 appeared. The 2 of them froze. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle bent down and stared blankly at the bloody corpses of the three. Xiaojin, what's going on? Who killed them? All of a sudden, he raised his head and stared at Zhao Xiaojin, roaring with bloodshot eyes. Zhao Xiaojin remained silent. Hurry up and tell me, Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle urged. He also looked like he was about to crack his teeth. They died in the hands of the 10th elder's grandson, Zhao Xiaojin said. 10th elder? The two of them were slightly stunned and asked, which 10th elder? The 10th elder of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, Zhao Xiaojin said. What? Why did his grandson kill third brother? Their expressions changed abruptly. Zhao Eryong was ranked third, so they called him third brother. However, Zhao Eryong was born with better talent than them, coupled with the fact that he had joined the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and received good resources. His cultivation was stronger than theirs. It's all in the past. Let's not talk about it. Help me prepare a burial for them. Zhao Xiaojin sighed. Why didn't you mention it? Even if he's an elder of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, he can't kill the innocent. Xiaojin, tell big uncle and second uncle honestly. Did your father do something wrong that brought about his death? The two of them said. No. Zhao Xiaojin shook her head. Don't ask any more. Just do as she says and let her be quiet for a while. Qin Feiyang sighed. But the two of them frowned. Don't worry, the grandson of the 10th elder and his accomplices have already died in our hands. Zhao Eryong and the others have also been avenged. Qin Feiyang said. They're already dead. What's the use of taking revenge? That's right. Even if we take revenge, can they still be resurrected? The two of them lamented. They can't be resurrected, but they won't die in peace. Qin Feiyang said. Sigh. The two of them sighed and turned to look at Zhao Xiaojin. Xiaojin, have a good rest. You don't have to worry about third brother and the others. We'll arrange it. With that, the two of them opened the door and left quickly. Zhao Xiaojin waved her hand and closed the door. She looked at Qin Feiyang and said, I still can't accept it. Then what do you want? Qin Feiyang asked. I want the 10th elder's life. Zhao Xiaojin said word by word, her eyes full of resentment. Qin Feiyang was taken aback. He muttered to himself, This isn't impossible, Zhao Xiaojin immediately looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. However, you have to work hard and cultivate to reach the 10th elder's level first. Qin Feiyang said. Hearing this, Zhao Xiaojin suddenly felt helpless. The 10th elder was a peak figure in the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. His strength was unfathomable. It would be difficult to catch up to him. You have to believe in yourself. You can do it. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Can I really do it? Zhao Xiaojin looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang didn't answer. He sat in front of the table and lowered his head in silence. Seeing this, Zhao Xiaojin sighed and said, It seems that you don't have much confidence in me. No, I'm thinking about whether I should help you. Qin Feiyang shook his head and waved his hand. A soundproof barrier appeared. Help me? Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. She suddenly remembered Qin Feiyang's identity. If Qin Feiyang used the sovereign divine weapon, wouldn't it be easy to kill the 10th elder? Don't think too much. Although I have a sovereign divine weapon, it's not something I can control. Besides, revenge is more meaningful if you do it with your own hands. The help I'm talking about is increasing your potential and comprehension. Qin Feiyang said. Increasing my potential and comprehension? Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. How could such a thing be possible? Your father is also my subordinate. I do have a duty to help you. However, some things are too important. I have to consider it carefully and see if you are worthy of my trust. Qin Feiyang said. You can trust me, Zhao Xiaojin hurriedly said. As long as she could increase her potential and comprehension, as long as she could catch up to the 10th elder, she would do anything. Really? Qin Feiyang looked at her. I swear on my parents' souls. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Qin Feiyang looked deeply at Zhao Xiaojin and said, "Okay, after dealing with your father's funeral, follow me to the Black Tortoise world." "Okay." Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Although Qin Feiyang didn't say how to help her increase her comprehension and potential, the confidence in Qin Feiyang's brows made her not doubt it. At the same time, outside, Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle and second uncle were walking side by side, and their faces were covered in sorrow and worry. "Big brother, our Zhao clan was able to gain a foothold in Ocean of Cloud City in the past because of third brother. Now that third brother has been killed, it's equivalent to us losing our backing. What would our Zhao clan do in the future?" Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle sighed. "I'm worried as well. I never expected that Xiao Jin would return with such bad news. I can't figure it out. How did they offend such a terrifying existence like the 10th elder?" Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle shook his head. "Yes. Do you think people like us can afford to offend someone at this level? Alas, our Zhao clan's future is worrying. Let's not talk about losing third brother for now. Let's talk about the 10th elder. Third brother's family offended the 10th elder. Moreover, according to what that fellow said, they even killed the 10th elder's grandson. If the 10th elder is really a vengeful person, then he will probably drag us down with him in the end." Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle sighed. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle's gaze instantly shook when he heard this, and he spoke in a low voice. "I hadn't thought of that. Now that you've mentioned it, it really is bad. So we have to think of a way. Why don't we take the core disciples of the clan with us once we bury third brother and the others, conceal our identities, and leave the city?" Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle spoke softly. "Leave the city? Then what about our huge estate?" Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle frowned. "Why bother about the estate now? Staying alive is more important." Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle exclaimed. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle's face changed indeterminately, and he shook his head. "I'm truly unable to give up on such a huge estate. However, we can hide for now and lay low until the situation changes. If it really doesn't work out, then we'll conceal our identities." Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle pondered deeply for a moment, and then he nodded. "All right, then it's decided." "Yes." Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle nodded. "Both of you are very sensible." Just as the two of them finished speaking, a cold laugh suddenly sounded from the void beside them. "Who is it?" Both of them were shocked, and they hurriedly swept their gazes towards the side, yet they weren't even able to see a shadow. End of this chapter. Chapter 3142. Schwa. Just as the two of them were bewildered, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared beside them. This person was about 8 meters tall and had a slender figure. He wore a golden robe with an extraordinary golden dragon embroidered on it. "City Lord." Their eyes trembled as they immediately bowed and kowtowed. "Greetings, City Lord." "Yes, let's talk somewhere else." The golden-robed man nodded. With a wave of his hand, the three of them immediately disappeared without a trace. 3 days later, in the morning, Zhao Eryong and the other two were buried. However, the Zhao family did not make this matter public. This was Zhao Xiaojin's idea. He wanted to leave quietly. There was no need to make a fuss. Moreover, this was also out of consideration for the future of the Zhao family. She also knew that her father was the pillar of the Zhao family. If the news of her father's death were to spread, it would definitely have a great impact on the Zhao family. Therefore, only the direct members of the Zhao family knew about this. Even the servants were kept a secret. At night, in a certain hall, a group of people sat around a table. The leader was Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle and second uncle, followed by their wives and children. Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin were also sitting at the table. The large round table in front of them was filled with all kinds of dishes and jugs of wine. There were a total of more than 20 people. They were all dressed in plain, white clothes with sad expressions. Sai, Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle, swept his gaze across everyone, stood up and sighed. Third brother's death is the pain of our Zhao family, but there is a good saying, the dead cannot be brought back to life. Our condolences. That's right. The second uncle also stood up and forced a smile, saying, I believe that third brother doesn't want to see us so sad even in the underworld. As he spoke, he raised his wine glass and looked at everyone. All of you, stand up, hold the wine, and toast their undead. The Zhao family all stood up and held their wine glasses, including Zhao Xiaojin. Qin Feiyang looked at everyone and also stood up with his wine glass. Originally, he was an outsider and shouldn't be sitting here, but there was nothing he could do. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle and second uncle were too enthusiastic. No matter what, he had to sit down and drink a few cups. Since the other party thought so highly of him, he naturally couldn't refuse. Thus, he stayed behind to accompany Zhao Xiaojin. Third brother, rest in peace. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle roared in grief and indignation. He raised his head and drank. Third brother, we'll take good care of little Jean for you. Don't worry. Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle let out a howl of grief. With tears in his eyes, he raised his head and drank the cup. The other members of the Zhao family were. Everyone's face was filled with sorrow, seeing. Have a seat. Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle smiled and poured another cup. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Little brother, thank you for taking care of Xiaojin in the Alliance capital. You are Xiaojin's friend, so you are also a friend of the Zhao family. In the future, the Zhao family's door will always be open for you. I'll drink first as a toast. After saying that, he held the wine glass with both hands and drank it in one gulp. Friends should help each other. There's no need to be so polite. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. He also poured himself a cup and drank it. Good, good, good. It's Xiaojin's fortune to have a friend like you. Zhao Xiaojin's second uncle nodded in relief and said with a smile, Let me toast you too. You're welcome. Qin Feiyang smiled and drank another cup. Zhao Xiaojin looked at the three of them and stood up. You guys eat slowly. I'll go sit outside. What's wrong? Her eldest uncle and second uncle looked at her suspiciously. I want to be alone for a while, Zhao Xiaojin said. All right then, don't go too far. The two of them looked at each other and nodded. Yes, Zhao Xiaojin replied and walked outside. Crack! But at this moment, Qin Feiyang's body suddenly swayed. The wine glass in his hand fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. Zhao Xiaojin immediately stopped and looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang's face quickly turned pale, and his lips turned black. There was even a trace of blood flowing from the corner of his mouth. The blood was actually black. Seeing this scene, Zhao Xiaojin's expression suddenly changed. She quickly went forward to support Qin Feiyang and asked, What's wrong with you? At this moment, Qin Feiyang felt weak all over, and a tearing pain came from his soul. There was also a trace of surprise in his eyes. But soon, his target was the broken wine glass. A terrifying thought crawled up in his mind. There was poison in the wine, and this feeling of being poisoned was very familiar. It seemed to be spirit-severing powder. You poisoned me. Suddenly, he looked up at Zhao Xiaojin's uncle and said angrily, Poisoned. The moment he said that, everyone was shocked. Everyone at the table was so scared that they immediately threw away the wine glasses in their hands. They all stood up and looked at the two of them in shock. Uncle, what's going on? Zhao Xiaojin also looked at the two of them with a puzzled expression. The two of them were silent as they sized up Qin Feiyang. Pooh! Suddenly, Zhao Xiaojin also spat out a mouthful of blood. Her body swayed and fell to the ground powerlessly. Her lips and blood were also black. It's really poisonous. She looked at the wine glass that she had just drunk from, her eyes filled with shock. Why was there poison in the wine? Qin Feiyang looked at Zhao Xiaojin's appearance, then looked at the rest of the Zhao family. Whether it was Zhao Xiaojin's uncle or their wives and children, none of them were poisoned. In other words, only he and Zhao Xiaojin were poisoned. This was specifically targeted at them. Moreover, judging from their previous reactions, their wives and children did not know about it. In other words, the people who poisoned them were Zhao Xiaojin's uncle and uncle. Uncle, say something. Zhao Xiaojin roared. The two of them looked at each other. The smile on their faces disappeared and was replaced by coldness. Then they slowly stood up. Father, what's going on? Why are they the only ones poisoned and we're all fine? A young man asked in surprise. He was one of Zhao Xiaojin's uncle's sons. Zhao Xiaojin's uncle said, because only their wine glasses are poisoned. Only their wine glasses are poisoned? Then who poisoned them? It can't be you guys. Everyone looked at the two of them. It's us. The two of them nodded. Why? Xiaojin, she's our family. A woman looked at the two of them and said angrily, Shut up. The two of them berated and then looked at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin. Xiaojin, don't blame us. We're also trying to protect the Zhao family. If you don't die, the Zhao family will be finished. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself. You've offended someone we can't afford to offend. The two of them shook their heads. Offended someone we can't afford to offend? Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered and said in a deep voice, Are you talking about the 10th elder? That's right. The person who wants to kill you is the 10th elder. The two of them nodded. Bastard. He's the one who killed your brother. You're actually helping him to harm us? I'm your niece. My father is your brother. He was just buried and his body is not cold yet. You're treating me like this. Do you still have any humanity left? Zhao Xiaojin roared weakly, her eyes filled with pain. She had just lost her family, and now even her closest relatives wanted to harm her. Her heart ached. We have to protect the Zhao family, so don't blame us. The two of them shook their heads. Haha, at this moment, accompanied by loud laughter, a golden-robed man pushed open the door of the hall and strode in. The city governor. Zhao Xiaojin's pupils constricted. He's the city governor of Ocean of Cloud City? Qin Feiyang was surprised and bewildered. That's right. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. Greetings, city governor. Zhao Xiaojin's uncles hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Well done. The city governor nodded with a smile, and then he gazed at Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin before he shook his head and said, The two of you could have offended anyone, but you chose to offend the 10th elder. Aren't you courting death? You arranged all of this? Zhao Xiaojin spoke furiously. Yes, I had no choice. It was the 10th elder's orders. I had to do it, the city governor said. You bastard. Don't you remember that my father helped you all those years ago? If it wasn't for my father, how could you have become the city governor of Ocean of Cloud City? Zhao Xiaojin roared furiously. Little niece, you don't have to mention that on purpose. Your father has done me a favor, but I've taken care of your Zhao family all these years, so we're even. The city governor smiled coldly. My father was really blind. Zhao Xiaojin had a sorrowful expression on his face. He really was blind. Otherwise, how could he have offended the 10th elder? The city governor laughed coldly, and then he gazed at Zhao Xiaojin's uncles and said, "Kill them!" "We'll kill them?" Both of them were stunned. "If it wasn't the two of you, then could it be me? To tell you the truth, this is the 10th Elder's test for the two of you. If the two of you don't attack, then it means that the two of you aren't truly loyal to the 10th Elder. Do the two of you know what the consequences will be?" The city governor laughed coldly. Their gazes shook. "Conversely, so long as the two of you kill Zhao Xiaojin with your own hands, then it proves that the two of you are on the same side as us, and will naturally take care of your Zhao family in the future. We'll even allow your children to enter the Alliance capital." The city governor said, "Enter the Alliance capital?" Both of their eyes were instantly filled with joy, and then they exchanged glances and looked at Zhao Xiaojin at the same time. "Xiaojin, your death is worth it to be able to obtain a bright future for the Zhao family. I won't forgive the two of you, even if I become a ghost." Zhao Xiaojin looked at the two of them with resentment. "Then I'll make sure you don't even have the chance to become a ghost." A cold light flashed in their eyes as they took a step forward. One of them charged towards Qin Feiyang, while the other charged towards Zhao Xiaojin. What a wonderful performance! But the best part is yet to come. Just wait and see. Qin Feiyang glanced at the three of them and transmitted his voice. "Fire Lotus, quickly save us!" He could enter the Black Tortoise realm himself with just a thought, but Zhao Xiaojin couldn't, because he couldn't move and couldn't grab Zhao Xiaojin. Therefore, he could only ask Fire Lotus for help. Swish! Just as Zhao Xiaojin's uncle and second uncle were about to attack, Fire Lotus suddenly appeared. When she saw the situation of Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin, her expression immediately changed. Following that, she grabbed Qin Feiyang with one hand and Zhao Xiaojin with the other and disappeared without a trace. The two of them were stunned and immediately released their divine sense. However, the city governor didn't panic at all. He even sat on a chair calmly. "There's a spatial divine item. Quickly seal the main hall." Zhao Xiaojin's uncle and second uncle quickly locked onto the Black Tortoise realm. "There's no need for that." The city governor waved his hand. "What?" The two of them looked at the city governor in shock. The city governor waved his hand, and a golden barrier immediately appeared in the void outside the main hall. Chapter 30, 143. This is the two were bewildered. This city lord had long expected that they might escape into the space divine object. So before coming in, I set up a barrier in advance. The city lord smiled faintly. "Lord City, Lord is brilliant." The two looked at each other and smiled in admiration. Just two little brats who are still wet behind the ears. How can they escape from this city, Lord's palm? The city lord's face was full of pride as he looked at the void and said indifferently, "Come out. Since you are already poisoned, you will still die if you hide in the space divine object. Why bother?" Black Tortoise World, Devil's Land. Fire Lotus brought Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin to the hall of the ancient castle. She immediately looked at a cultivation room and shouted, "Madman, it's a matter of life and death. Quickly come out." "What's the situation?" Madman ran out of the cultivation room, and when he saw the situation of Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin, his expression changed greatly. "I don't know." Fire Lotus shook her head. She really didn't know what was going on, because she had been cultivating and didn't pay attention to the situation outside. Madman walked in front of Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin, and after checking for a bit, he raised his eyebrows and said, "This seems to be spirit severing powder." Spirit severing powder. Fire Lotus was shocked. Of course she knew about this thing. When Zhuo Tiansheng wanted to murder Qin Feiyang and Madman, he used this deadly poison. "Don't worry, this thing can't stop me." Madman smiled in disdain. evil force appeared and poured into Qin Feiyang and Zhao Xiaojin's bodies. At this moment, the recovery that filled their bodies was swallowed by the evil force. About a moment later, the poison was finally removed. The expressions of the two eased a lot. "What's going on with you? You were actually plotted against again." Madman looked at Qin Feiyang with ridicule. Qin Feiyang stood up and moved his body. He glanced at Zhao Xiaojin, who had a painful expression, and shook his head. "If it were you, you would also be plotted against." "What do you mean?" Madman was suspicious. Qin Feiyang briefly explained the situation. "No way." Madman and Fire Lotus looked at each other. Her own uncle actually colluded with his enemy to murder his own niece? When they came back to their senses, the two of them looked at Zhao Xiaojin with a trace of sympathy in their eyes. First, his family members had died an unnatural death, and now he was betrayed by his loved ones. This blow was probably not small. "Humph, I will settle this score with them." Qin Feiyang snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, an image appeared in the void. On the screen, the city lord was still sitting on the chair calmly. Zhao Xiaojin's first and second uncles used their divine senses to lock onto the black tortoise world. As for the others, they were gathered in a corner of the hall, and they seemed to be at a loss for what to do. This sudden change was completely out of their expectations, so they still hadn't gotten used to it yet. The city lord waited for a while before grabbing a wine flask on the table and taking a small sip. He smiled and said, "Are you really not coming out?" "City lord, if you ask them to come out now, they definitely won't dare to come out. Who knows, they might have already died in the spatial divine item." Zhao Xiaojin's first and second uncles sneered. "That makes sense. Then let's destroy the spatial divine item. There must be their accomplices inside, and there might be more than one or two. Kill them all," the city lord said indifferently. "Yes." The two of them responded respectfully. At the same time, they took a step forward. Their eyes flickered with cold light as they attacked the black tortoise world. At the same time, when Zhao Xiaojin saw this scene, his expression immediately changed. He exclaimed, "Not good, let's run." Run. Qin Feiyang and the other two were stunned. They are all Sovereign Realm experts. How can your spatial divine item withstand their attacks? If we don't run, are we going to wait for death? Zhao Xiaojin said anxiously. "Haha," Madman suddenly laughed loudly. Qin Feiyang and Fire Lotus also had a trace of a smile in their eyes. "What? Did I say something wrong?" Zhao Xiaojin looked at the three of them suspiciously. "You didn't say anything wrong. Ordinary spatial divine items can't withstand their attacks. But this place isn't an ordinary spatial divine item. With their cultivation, even if there are 800 of them, they won't be able to destroy it." Madman smiled disdainfully. "Really?" Zhao Xiaojin didn't believe it. Boom! Before he finished speaking, the two people outside threw a punch. However, Zhao Xiaojin, who was standing inside the ancient castle, didn't feel the slightest bit of shaking. At this moment, she looked outside the ancient castle with a dull expression. What kind of spatial divine item is this? Even Sovereign Realm experts can't shake it. Let me tell you not to mention these trash. Even a perfect Sovereign Realm expert who has grasped the space-time law can't kill his way in. Madman's face was full of disdain. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, "I've already helped to get rid of the poison. The rest is up to you. I'll continue my seclusion." With that, he walked into the cultivation room without looking back and closed the stone door with a bang. "Then I'll leave first." Fire Lotus looked at Qin Feiyang and smiled. "N." Qin Feiyang nodded. Fire Lotus smiled at Zhao Xiaojin and turned to leave the ancient castle. What do they mean? They don't seem to be worried at all. Zhao Xiaojin looked at the scene with a depressed expression. What kind of people are these? It's not a big deal. There's no need for them to stay here. Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. This isn't a big deal. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. Calm down, calm down. Qin Feiyong comforted her and then lowered his head to ponder. As for the city lord and the Zhao family outside, he couldn't be bothered to pay attention to them. Seeing this, Zhao Xiaojin was speechless to the extreme. After living for so many years, she had never seen such a calm person. And there was more than one. Outside, at this moment, Zhao Xiaojin's big uncle and second uncle were both shocked. It actually didn't shatter. A trace of surprise appeared in the city, Lord's eyes, as he stood up and personally took action. But it was still unable to shake the Black Tortoise realm. One must know, after the Black Tortoise realm fused with the ancient castle, its strength was equivalent to a Dominator divine weapon. With their strength, how could they break it? It was simply a pipe dream. It seems that this city lord has underestimated them, but the 10th elder didn't say that they have such a powerful spatial divine object. The city lord frowned. Then what should we do now? Zhao Xiaojin's big uncle and second uncle were at a loss. What are you afraid of? The two of them have their bodies broken and their souls scattered. They will definitely die. Now, I'm very interested in this spatial divine object. A trace of greed appeared in the city lord's eyes. In the ancient castle. Qin Feiyong suddenly raised his head to look at a cultivation room and said, Dan Wankai. The stone door opened and Dan Wankai walked out. Zhao Xiaojin also raised his head and looked at Dan Wankai suspiciously. His entire body was filled with the fragrance of pills. He was obviously an alchemist. Suddenly, Zhao Xiaojin seemed to have thought of something as he looked at Qin Feiyong and said, I heard that you have 7 dragon-shaped divine pills. Yeah, is there a problem? Qin Feiyong nodded and looked at her in confusion. When Frenzy and Yi Yuan were fighting, the 7 dragon-shaped divine pills had already been exposed, so it was no longer a secret. Zhao Xiaojin pointed at Dan Wankai and said, These pills, could it be that he was the one who refined them? Qin Feiyong nodded. Amazing. Zhao Xiaojin looked at Dan Wankai in admiration. Looking at his age, he seemed to be younger than her, but he was actually able to refine such a level of divine pills. What am I good at? The truly powerful one is the young master. Dan Wankai shook his head. Him? Zhao Xiaojin pointed at Qin Feiyong again. Young master's talent in alchemy is top-notch. Compared to young master, I'm not even 1/10 of him. Dan Wankai laughed. It can't be you're also an alchemist? Zhao Xiaojin looked at Qin Feiyong in shock. Don't I look like one? Qin Feiyong was taken aback. No, you don't. Zhao Xiaojin shook her head. She didn't have the aura of an alchemist at all. That's right, because I haven't touched a pill furnace for a long time. As for Dan Wankai's words, it's too exaggerated. In the past, I was indeed above him, but now I'm far inferior to him after being neglected for so long. Qin Feiyong smiled slightly. Then why did you neglect it? Zhao Xiaojin was suspicious. No matter where they were, alchemists were respected. Other alchemists couldn't wait for everyone in the world to know that they were alchemists. But this person clearly had talent in alchemy, and his talent wasn't ordinary, but he actually neglected it. With him around, do I still need to refine pills? Qin Feiyong glanced at Dan Wankai and said with a smile. Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. What kind of reason was this? Dan Wankai was an alchemist. Was there a conflict with Qin Feiyong refining pills? There shouldn't be a conflict. You refine yours, I'll refine mine. Everyone working hard together, isn't that good? Wait a minute. Suddenly, Zhao Xiaojin understood. This was a kind of absolute trust. Qin Feiyong trusted Dan Wankai and believed that Dan Wankai wouldn't betray him. So he gave up on refining pills and trained Dan Wankai with all his strength. In fact, she didn't know. It wasn't as complicated as she thought. Trust was definitely a must. As for not liking alchemy, it was purely because Qin Feiyang was afraid of trouble. Qin Feiyang didn't explain and looked at Dan Wankai with a smile. Give me all the pills that can open the door of potential. You are, hearing this. Dan Wankai couldn't help but glance at Zhao Shaojin. Qin Feiyang nodded, but Dan Wankai frowned. Although the Sky Cloud realm also had pills that could open the door of potential, it was only the Shang-Qing nature pill. If he were to take out the potential pill now and help Zhao Shaojin open the door of potential, if Zhao Shaojin were to leak it out, it would definitely bring them a fatal disaster. It's fine. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. Dan Wankai took a deep look at Qin Feiyang and nodded. All right, I'll go refine it right away. After saying that, he turned around and returned to the cultivation room. What did you just say? Pills that can open the door of potential. Zhao Shaojin looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Yes, didn't I say it earlier? To help you improve your perception and potential, the only way to improve your perception and potential is to open the door of potential. Qin Feiyang nodded. So it's like that. Zhao Shaojin suddenly realized and then said, However, I heard from my father that the Shang-Qing nature pill is useless. She didn't know that there were other pills that could open the door of potential, so she naturally thought that Qin Feiyang was asking Dan Wankai to get the Shang-Qing nature pill. Chapter 30, 144. My elixir is different from the Shang-Qing creation elixir. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Different. Zhao Shaojin was stunned. What did he mean? Qin Feiyang did not explain further. He sat on the chair in the hall and waited quietly for Dan Wankai. A moment later, Dan Wankai finally walked out with an exquisite jade box in his hand and handed it to Zhao Shaojin. Zhao Shaojin took the jade box suspiciously and looked at Qin Feiyang. Open it. Qin Feiyang smiled. Zhao Shaojin took a deep breath and her eyes were filled with anticipation. Then, she slowly opened the jade box. When the jade box was opened, a dazzling divine light surged out. It was the light of a dragon-shaped elixir. Each elixir had a total of 7 dragon-shaped elixirs. The rich medicinal fragrance instantly filled the entire hall of the ancient castle. This is the first time I've seen an elixir with 7 dragon-shaped elixirs. Zhao Shaojin mumbled. What you hear may be false, but what you see is true. This person is indeed amazing. With his attainments in alchemy, even if he entered the demonic hall or the itinerant cultivator alliance, he would receive the best treatment. However, this person was willing to follow Qin Feiyang. What kind of charm does Qin Feiyang have? Zhao Shaojin could not help but glance at Qin Feiyang with an inexplicable glow in her eyes. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Dan Wankai, tell her how to use these elixirs. Okay. Dan Wankai nodded and took out a potential elixir from the jade box. He smiled and said, Miss Shaojin, this is a potential elixir. It can open the door to the potential of a martial artist, martial master, and martial ancestor. What? Open the door to the potential of a martial artist, martial master, and martial ancestor? Zhao Shaojin was stunned. Dan Wankai took out another potential elixir and said with a smile, This is to open the battle monarch, battle emperor. Wait a moment. Zhao Shaojin hurriedly said. What? Dan Wankai looked at her suspiciously. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I really can't help it. Are you sure that this pill can unlock the potential of a martial artist, martial master, and martial ancestor? Zhao Shaojin grabbed a potential pill and looked at Dan Wankai in disbelief. Of course, Dan Wankai nodded. But how is this possible? I've heard that there are medicinal pills in the world that can open the gates of potential. However, it is said that these pill recipes were all recorded in the first volume of the Alchemy Canon. However, the first volume of the Alchemy Canon has long been lost. In fact, whether or not the first volume of the Alchemy Mantra even exists is another matter. Could it be that you developed these medicinal pills by yourself? Zhao Xiaojin was bewildered. Dan Wangkai turned to look at Qin Feiyang. Zhao Xiaojin also looked at Qin Feiyang. Qin Feiyang looked at Zhao Xiaojin and said with a faint smile, "You don't have to worry about that. All you need to know is that these pills can indeed help you open the door to your potential." Zhao Xiaojin wanted to say something but hesitated, because she suddenly remembered that Qin Feiyang had asked her if she could be trusted. At that time, she was still a little confused, but now when she saw these pills, she finally understood. It turned out that Qin Feiyang was referring to these pills. In other words, the existence of these pills was a taboo. Since it was a taboo, he naturally could not ask further. Qin Feiyang looked at Dan Wangkai and said with a smile, "Continue." Dan Wangkai nodded, looked at Zhao Xiaojin and slowly explained the usage of all the pills. Soon, after he finished explaining, he smiled and said, "As for the situation of the Shangqing creation pill, you already know, so I won't explain it in detail. Now, prepare to open the door of potential." "All right." Zhao Xiaojin nodded and immediately sat cross-legged on the ground. Qin Feiyang swept his gaze across the ancient castle and said with a smile, "Ancient castle, release your aura and help her." Boom! A wisp of pressure immediately emerged from the ancient castle and enveloped Zhao Xiaojin. Although it was only a wisp of pressure, as a Dominator divine weapon, it was not something that Zhao Xiaojin could withstand. Zhao Xiaojin suddenly felt as if she was about to suffocate. What a strong pressure! Could this be the legendary Dominator divine weapon? She scanned the castle, her eyes filled with shock. Don't let your imagination run wild. Quickly consume the potential pill, Dan Wangkai shouted. Okay. Zhao Xiaojin replied repeatedly. After calming herself down, she took out a potential pill and placed it in her mouth. Outside, the city lord had been thinking of a way to break through the Black Tortoise realm. But even after exhausting all his methods, the Black Tortoise realm showed no signs of breaking. This made him unable to help but feel annoyed. At the same time, the desire in his heart became even stronger. Similarly, Zhao Xiaojin's uncle and uncle could not help but feel greed in their hearts. Even the city lord is unable to break through. This spatial divine object has at least reached the level of a legendary, heaven-defying divine artifact. I think so too. However, the city lord is obviously determined to win. We can't beat him, so we can only watch helplessly. The two of them communicated secretly. Suddenly, the city lord looked at the two of them and said with a frown, "The two of you, The two of them thought that the city lord had seen through their thoughts and looked slightly flustered. "Immediately pass down my order. Tell everyone in Wind Sea City to evacuate the city immediately." The city lord spoke. Evacuate the city? The two of them were stunned. That's right. I want to use the heaven-defying divine artifact to split it open. The city lord's eyes flickered. City lord, you can't. We've all heard of your heaven-defying divine artifact. It's a peak-level heaven-defying divine artifact. If it fully recovers, Cloud Sea City will be instantly reduced to ashes. Their expressions changed drastically. That's why I asked you to pass down my order to have everyone withdraw first, the city lord said. But the two of them frowned. The city lord shouted, "Do you need me to repeat myself?" No need. The two of them hurriedly waved their hands. Zhao Xiaojin's uncle hesitated again, but speak. The city lord was extremely impatient. If Cloud Sea City is really razed to the ground, I think it will definitely reach the 10th Elder's ears. When he asks about it, how will we explain it? Zhao Xiaojin's uncle said nervously. You really reminded me. We really can't let him know about this. Otherwise, he'll definitely blame me. After all, Even he doesn't have such a powerful, spatial divine artifact. The city lord pondered for a moment, and his eyes gradually lit up as he said with a smile, "I've already thought of an idea." "What idea?" The two of them were curious. "When the time comes, we'll say that Mounun and the others also have a heaven-defying divine artifact. In order to avoid harming the innocent people, we asked everyone to evacuate the city in advance. As for the destruction of the city, we'll say that before Mounun and the others died, they wanted to perish together with us and revive the heaven-defying divine artifact." The city lord said, "City lord, you're brilliant." Both of their faces were filled with admiration. "Go quickly. Your Zhao family should hurry up and pack up as well. We must complete the mission before dawn. After the mission is completed, you'll also be rewarded." The city lord chuckled. Yes, the two of them nodded respectfully. The city lord waved his hand, and the people of the Zhao family immediately appeared outside the hall. Black Tortoise Realm. Zhao Xiaojin's gate of potential had all been opened, including the gate of potential of the undead realm. This made her extremely excited. In the past, she didn't even dare to think about opening one gate of potential, let alone opening all the gates of potential. This felt like a dream. "Dan Wankai, take her to my house to wash up." Qin Feiyong waved his hand. The ancient castle had already retracted its pressure. Dan Wankai walked in front of Zhao Xiaojin and said with a smile, "Miss, let's go." "Okay." Zhao Xiaojin got up and quickly followed Dan Wankai out of the ancient castle. Not long after, the two of them returned to the ancient castle. Zhao Xiaojin changed into a clean set of clothes, and she looked full of energy. "How do you feel?" Qin Feiyong asked with a smile. "I feel very good. It's as if I've been reborn. The most obvious thing is the power of law. In the past, there were many things that I didn't understand, but now that I think about it a little, I seem to understand it." Zhao Xiaojin was overjoyed. "This is the improvement of potential and comprehension. This is all I can help you with. You'll have to rely on yourself for the rest." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. "It's enough. Thank you." Zhao Xiaojin bowed to Qin Feiyong, then looked at Dan Wankai and said, "Thank you too." "It's nothing. All right, I'll continue to refine pills. You guys chat." After saying that, Dan Wankai turned around and entered the cultivation room, closing the stone door. Does he only know how to refine pills? Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. "You're right. Other than refining pills, he's not interested in anything else. Even if it's cultivation, I have to force him." Qin Feiyong shook his head helplessly. No wonder his attainments in alchemy are so high. Zhao Xiaojin nodded in realization. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Now let's talk about it. How do you plan to deal with the Zhao family?" Zhao Xiaojin's face darkened as she sat across from Qin Feiyong. Qin Feiyong had already brewed a pot of tea. He poured a cup of tea from the teapot and pushed it in front of Zhao Xiaojin. Zhao Xiaojin ignored it and lowered her head in deep thought. Qin Feiyong did not disturb her and drank his tea quietly. A short while later, Zhao Xiaojin looked up at Qin Feiyong and said, "If it's up to you, you'll definitely kill them, right?" "Yes." Qin Feiyong did not deny it. He did not like to cause trouble, but he was never afraid of it, especially those who wanted to harm him. If there were no special circumstances, he would not let them go. The so-called special circumstances, such as Zhuo Tiansheng. There was no other way. After all, Madman and Zhuo Shaoxian were together. Moreover, other than being ruthless, Zhuo Tiansheng was not bad in other aspects. "I knew it, but I'm a little confused." Zhao Xiaojin sighed. "I understand. It happened too suddenly. I haven't recovered yet. There's no rush. You can think about it slowly. But this city, Lord of Cloud Sea City, what kindness does your father have for him?" Qin Feiyong was suspicious. This matter started when they were young. At that time, my father had a very good relationship with him. According to my father, when this person was young, he was proud and arrogant and offended many people. Once, he accidentally offended someone from the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. Although this person was only an ordinary member of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, he still had the Rogue Cultivator Alliance backing him. So he found someone to kill him. At that time, my father had just joined the Rogue Cultivator Alliance. When he found out about this, he immediately went to apologize. That person saw that my father was also a member of the Rogue Cultivator Alliance, and his attitude was so good, so he did not look for trouble with the city lord. Later on, it was also because of my father that he joined the Rogue Cultivator Alliance and became the current city lord of Windsea City. Zhao Shaojin said, I see. Qin Feiyang came to a sudden realization. That's why I feel very uncomfortable. My family was harmed, my relatives betrayed me, and even my father's friends turned against me. I haven't done anything outrageous in my life. How did I end up being betrayed by my family? Zhao Xiaojin's face was filled with anger. This is life. Many times, many things are not what we can predict. The only thing we can do is to face it bravely, work hard to break the shackles of fate, and live our own lives. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Live your own life, Zhao Xiaojin muttered, and her eyes gradually became firm. She bowed and said, Thank you, Qin Dage, for your guidance. I will work hard. Qin Feiyang smiled slightly. It seemed that he would have another sister. However, his sisters seemed to be older than him. Chapter 3145. Zhao Xiaojin looked at the city lord on the screen and frowned slightly. She asked, Then how do we escape? This is easy to solve. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Easy to solve? Zhao Xiaojin was stunned. In her opinion, this was practically impossible because the city lord was a perfect dominator. Moreover, he had a heaven-defying divine artifact. Unless Qin Feiyang used a dominator divine artifact. However, Qin Feiyang had personally said that the dominator divine artifact wasn't something he could control. Therefore, they couldn't count on the castle. Besides the castle, what other methods did Qin Feiyang have? A heaven-defying divine artifact? That's right. Qin Feiyang did have many heaven-defying divine artifacts, but they were only at the pinnacle level. Although a pinnacle-level heaven-defying divine artifact could rival a dominator, it was still a long way from a perfect dominator. Could it be that Qin Feiyang wanted to use numbers to win? However, even if he had more than a dozen heaven-defying divine artifacts, he might not be able to break through the city lord's barrier. You don't have to worry about this. Think about it carefully. Do you want to return to the Alliance capital after leaving Cloudsea City? Qin Feiyang stood up and smiled. If you see it, you have to go back, Zhao Xiaojin said without hesitation. Qin Feiyang was slightly surprised. He thought that Zhao Xiaojin would be afraid and not dare to return to the Alliance capital. However, he didn't expect that she wouldn't even hesitate. Aren't you afraid that the 10th Elder will continue to take revenge on you? Qin Feiyang asked with a smile. I am. However, as the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. Outside, the 10th Elder can kill us without fear. However, in the Alliance capital, with the Vice Alliance Master and Alliance Master, he will more or less restrain himself. Zhao Xiaojin said, You can even think of this. Not bad. Qin Feiyang nodded. Are you kidding? I'm not stupid, okay? Zhao Xiaojin pouted. Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Then you can rest here for a while. I'll make arrangements for our departure. Okay. Zhao Xiaojin nodded. It just so happened that she wanted to be alone for a while. No matter how strong she was still a woman after all. After so many things had happened, her heart must have reached its limit. Being alone for a while could more or less relieve some stress. After leaving the castle, Qin Feiyong went straight to the madman's courtyard. Of course, he wasn't looking for a lunatic, because Madman was in the castle. The person he was looking for was Zhuo Xiaoxian. He sensed Zhuo Xiaoxian's aura before he even entered the residence. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. Zhuo Xiaoxian's aura had already reached the half-step undead realm. As a matter of fact, Zhuo Xiaoxian was very talented. It was just that she hated cultivation because of her family. Xiaoxian. Qin Feiyong entered the courtyard, stood downstairs, and shouted. A short while later, Zhuo Xiaoxian ran out from her room on the second floor, stood on the balcony, and said with a grin, "Qin Dage, what brings you here today? Why do you have time to visit me?" Southwest wind. Qin Feiyong let out a smile. He leapt and landed in front of Zhuo Xiaoxian, then said with a smile, "How rare! You've started cultivating." "Everyone is trying their best to cultivate. If I only know how to play all day long, wouldn't I be too weird?" Zhuo Xiaoxian shook her head. "Actually, a girl needs to be strong too, because at least when you're in danger, you should be able to protect yourself. I'm not here to have a chat. I'm looking for your father and foster father. I have something to discuss with them." Qin Feiyong said. "Sure, I'll send them a message." Zhuo Xiaoxian nodded and took out the sound-conducting godly stone. However, a moment later, Zhuo Tianqing did not respond. "What's going on?" Zhuo Xiaoxian frowned and sent a message to her foster father. In the end, her foster father did not respond either. Strange. Could something have happened to them? Zhuo Xiaoxian could not help but feel worried. That won't happen. If something did happen, they would definitely send us a message right away. Maybe it's not convenient to talk to us now. Let's wait and see. Qin Feiyong smiled. "Okay, I'll make you a pot of tea first." After saying that, Zhuo Xiaoxian turned around and ran to the first floor. Looking at Zhuo Xiaoxian's back, Qin Feiyong could not help but smile. Sensible and obedient. It was a lunatic's blessing for such a woman to fall in love with him. Then, he sat on the reclining chair next to him. On the balcony, there were 2 reclining chairs made of bamboo strips and a simple round table. When he had nothing to do, lying here, basking in the sun, drinking tea, and looking at the scenery of the Devil's Land was also a kind of enjoyment. After a while, Zhuo Xiaoxian walked up with a teapot and teacups. The tea leaves were naturally the tianxian, do that fire lotus personally cultivated. The rich tea fragrance spread for thousands of miles. Zhuo Xiaoxian asked curiously, "Qin Dage, I heard that you brought another young lady?" "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded and asked, "What's wrong?" "Nothing. I'm just a little curious. What's her name? Where is she from?" Zhuo Xiaoxian was confused. "Her name is Xiao Xiaojin. Her ancestral home is in Cloud Sea City, and she lives in the Alliance capital. She has encountered a lot of things recently, thus she's in a bad mood. If you're free, please talk to her for me." Qin Feiyong said, "What is it?" Zhuo Xiaoxian was confused. As Qin Feiyong sipped his tea, he briefly recounted what had happened to Zhao Xiaojin over the past few days. How pitiful. Zhuo Xiaoxian shook her head. "I know, right?" Qin Feiyong let out a sigh. Buzz. At that instant, Zhuo Xiaoxian's voice transmission, godly stone, echoed. "It's father." Zhuo Xiaoxian took it out and read it. Her face was filled with joy as she activated the voice transmission, godly stone. Following this, 3 illusionary figures appeared. They were Zhuo Tiansheng, Elder Yu, and the City Lord. "What were you doing just then? You're ignoring me." Zhuo Xiaoxian glanced at them with a displeased look. "Girl, do you think everyone is as carefree as you are?" Zhuo Tiansheng rolled his eyes at Zhuo Xiaoxian and asked, "Why are you looking for us?" It's Qin Dage who's looking for you. Zhuo Shaoxian turned the voice transmission godly stone around and faced Qin Feiyang, who was sitting opposite her. It's been a few hundred years since we last met. How are you doing? Qin Feiyang let out a smile. Zhuo Tiancheng said with a smile, We're doing great. How about you? How's your progress in the Alliance? I've been staying in the Alliance for a few hundred years, and I've passed the trial. I'm preparing to enter the Hall of the Exalted. Qin Feiyang let out a smile. No way you've passed the trial? The three were astounded. Isn't it normal for Qin Dage to pass the trial? Shuo Shaoxian interrupted. The three were slightly startled, before they nodded with a wry smile. That's true. Speaking of the Hall of the Exalted, I do recall something. Qin Feiyang, do you know someone called Mo Wuji and Zhao Xiaojin? The city lord asked. Yes, why? Qin Feiyang nodded and looked at the three suspiciously. 3 days ago, the 10th elder sent us a message, asking us to look for someone called Mo Wuhui. I heard that this Mo Wuhui is Mo Wuji's elder brother. The two of them and this Zhao Xiaojin seem to have offended the 10th elder and are preparing to take revenge on them. The city lord said. I see. Qin Feiyang nodded and asked, Then do you know Zhao Xiaojin? Of course. Zhao Xiaojin's father is called Zhao Eryong. Every time we enter the Alliance, he's the one who opens the barrier for us. Over time, we've become familiar with each other. The city lord nodded. Then, do you know about Zhao Eryong's death? Qin Feiyang asked. He's dead? The three were surprised. It seems that the news hasn't spread yet. That's right. He's been killed. As for the Mo Wuhui you found, he's actually senior crazy. Qin Feiyang smiled. What? It's actually little crazy. The three were stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Zhuo Tianqing was stunned. If that little crazy is Mo Wuhui, then aren't you Mo Wuji? Yes. That's our name in the Alliance. As for Zhao Eryong, to tell you the truth, he's already following me. So his death made me very sad. Because of this, Zhao Xiaojin is also in my black tortoise world. But now we've encountered some trouble and I need your help. Qin Feiyang said. I didn't expect this to be related to you. The city lord took a deep breath and asked, Help you with what? Now, we're trapped in the Zhao family's residence in the Cloud Sea City. The city lord is personally overseeing this place. I need your help to break the barrier so that I can leave. Qin Feiyang said. Aren't you in the Alliance? Why are you trapped in the Cloud Sea City? The three were puzzled. It's like this. Qin Feiyang recounted everything that had happened in detail. So that's how it is. The three were enlightened. We definitely won't refuse to help you. But we know the city, Lord of the Cloud Sea City. Moreover, this is the order of the 10th elder. How can we help? The city lord frowned. That's right. If we help you, the 10th elder won't let us go. Besides that, there's another troublesome matter. Zhuo Tianqing said. Troublesome matter? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. Zhuo Tianqing nodded. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, This person has a legendary, grade, heaven-defying artifact. What? A legendary grade, heaven-defying artifact? Qin Feiyang was shocked, and then his expression froze as he hurriedly said, Wait, why did I hear Zhao Xiaojin's eldest uncle and second uncle say that he possesses a peak grade, heaven-defying divine artifact? Previously in the castle, although he was helping Zhao Xiaojin open the door of potential, he had been paying attention to the situation outside. Therefore, he heard the conversation between the city lord and Zhao Xiaojin's big uncle and second uncle. At that time, the two of them were indeed talking about a peak grade, heaven-defying artifact. It's just an illusion. Zhuo Tianqing shook his head. Illusion? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. Zhuo Tianqing nodded and asked again, you should know the 4 super cities of the eastern continent, right? Yes. These 4 super cities are Wind Sea City, Cloud Sea City, Sky Sea City, and East Sea City. Qin Feiyong said, yes, these are the 4 super cities. And the city lords of these 4 super cities actually have a legendary, grade, heaven-defying artifact. Zhuo Tianqing said, all of them? Qin Feiyong was slightly stunned. Then he looked at Zhao Xiaojin's foster father and asked, then you have one too? Chapter 3146. Of course. The city lord nodded with a smile. Tisk, tsk. I've never seen a legendary grade divine artifact before. Qin Feiyong looked envious. Kid, you're making fun of me, aren't you? You even have a sovereign divine weapon. Why would you be envious of my legendary artifact? The city lord rolled his eyes. I'm not joking, I'm really envious. Qin Feiyong chuckled. He couldn't control the ancient castle at all, so if he had a legendary artifact, he might not be invincible, but he could at least protect himself. The city lord glared at Qin Feiyong in annoyance and said, although we 4 city lords all possess legend, rank, heaven-defying divine artifacts, we only tell others that they are peak rank, heaven-defying divine artifacts. Why hide it from the public? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. On one hand, it's to guard against the demon palace, and on the other hand, it's to keep a low profile. The city lord smiled. Low profile? Qin Feiyong pursed his lips. He really couldn't tell. The city lord said, so it's very difficult to touch the city lord of Cloud Sea City. Who said we're going to touch him? I just want you to help me escape. You just have to help me break the barrier. As for the city lord of Cloud Sea City, I'll slowly settle the score with him in the future. Qin Feiyong's eyes were filled with coldness. Just escape? The 3 of them were stunned. If that was the case, it would be very simple. At that time, they could just change their appearance, run to Cloud Sea City, break the barrier, and leave. Who would know it was them? Okay, I'll make a trip there myself. You should also get ready. Once the barrier is broken, leave immediately. The city lord looked at Qin Feiyong and smiled. Okay, Qin Feiyong nodded. The city lord was also a perfect sovereign, so it would be easy for him to break the barrier. Okay, I'll go now. After the city lord finished speaking, the figure disappeared. Qin Feiyong let out a long breath and looked at Zhuo Xiaoxian. I still don't know your foster father's name. My foster father is Lu Zhengyuan. Zhuo Xiaoxian replied. Lu Zhengyuan, Qin Feiyong murmured and asked curiously, does he not have a family? No. I heard from my adoptive father that his parents died when he was young. He has been alone since he was young. Zhuo Xiaoxian said. Then why didn't he marry and have children? Qin Feiyong was suspicious. I heard from my father that when foster father was young, he had a woman. However, for some unknown reason, the 2 of them separated. From then on, foster father never found another woman. Zhou Xiaoxian shook her head. I see. It seems that your adoptive father is also a man with a story. Qin Feiyong smiled. Yes. Zhuo Xiaoxian nodded. It would take a long time to travel from Wind Ocean City to Cloud Ocean City. Therefore, Qin Feiyong was not in a hurry. After chatting with Zhuo Xiaoxian for a while, he returned home to spend time with the mermaid princess. Zhuo Xiaoxian also went to find Zhao Xiaojin. However, Qin Feiyong had told her not to tell Zhao Xiaojin about the Black Tortoise world for the time being. Outside, the people of Cloud Ocean City were moving in a hurry. Although they did not know what was going on, it was an order from the city governor's estate. They did not dare to disobey. Late that night, the huge Cloud Ocean City became an empty city. Everyone gathered outside the city and looked at the city from afar. Their eyes were filled with bewilderment. What was going on? Everyone was actually asked to leave the city. Late that night, The Zhao family, Zhao Xiaojin's eldest and second uncles, returned to the main hall. They looked at the city governor and said respectfully, "My lord, everything has been arranged." "You're quite efficient," the city governor chuckled. "My lord, how could we dare to neglect your orders?" Both of them smiled obsequiously. "All right, you two leave the city as well." The city governor waved his hand. "Yes." Both of them replied respectfully. Although they wanted the Black Tortoise world and were very unwilling, they did not dare to act rashly in front of the powerful city governor. They turned around and tore through the sky. Around 100 breaths later, the city governor stood up slowly. His divine sense was firmly locked onto the Black Tortoise world. He smiled and said, "I'll give you one last chance. Come out and accept your death, and I'll leave your corpses intact." But a short moment passed and no one answered him. Stubborn fools! The city governor's face instantly turned cold, and he instantly appeared outside the barrier and stood in the air above the main hall. After that, divine energy surged out and covered the heavens and the earth as it surged towards the surroundings. In just a few breaths of time, another enormous divine energy barrier appeared. This enormous barrier enveloped the entire city. He'd done this to further prevent Qin Feiyang from escaping with the Black Tortoise world, because once he awakened the heaven-defying legendary artifact, then the barrier that trapped the main hall would be destroyed. Once the barrier was destroyed, then Qin Feiyang would naturally be able to escape with the Black Tortoise world. So, he wanted to prevent that from happening. Look, quick! That's the city governor's barrier, right? Why did he set up such a huge barrier? The people outside the city had puzzled expressions on their faces. The only ones who knew about it were the members of the Zhao family. Clang! In the air above the main hall. After he finished setting up the barrier, the cold smile on the city governor's face grew even wider. He waved his hand, and a 1 m long sword appeared. The long sword was completely black, and it emanated a terrifying sharpness. This was his legendary, heaven-defying divine artifact. "Now, even if you take the initiative to beg for mercy, I won't give you a chance." He laughed sinisterly, grabbed the black sword, and appeared in the main hall with a single step. He slashed at the Black Tortoise world. Dazzling flames immediately erupted from the collision in the air. A terrifying aura erupted. The main hall was shattered and the barrier collapsed. The entire Zhao family was razed to the ground. However, at the same time, the city governor's body shook, and he staggered back repeatedly. Cracks also appeared on the blade of the black long sword in his hand. How is this possible? His face was instantly filled with disbelief. Originally, he was full of confidence. After all, it was a legendary artifact. But he never expected that it would be him who was blasted back by the terrifying impact. Not only was his arm numb, but the blood in his body was also surging. What level of spatial artifact was that? His heart was filled with shock. At the same time, the greed in his eyes grew even stronger. "Awaken!" He roared furiously. Clang! The black sword immediately started to awaken. A terrifying aura instantly surged out in all directions from the Zhao family. Rumble! Crack! Along with a series of loud bangs that shook the heavens and the earth, the halls and houses collapsed one after another like the ears of wheat in a field. In just an instant, the prosperous ocean of Cloud City had been reduced to nothingness. The barrier that enveloped the entire city trembled violently and warped from the impact of the aura. The city governor was a perfect ruler. The might of a legendary artifact was equivalent to a perfect ruler. However, a fully awakened legendary artifact couldn't be underestimated. After all, the barrier was only formed from divine energy and wasn't enhanced by any divine techniques. A small barrier wouldn't be able to resist it at all. For example, the barrier outside the main hall had instantly collapsed. However, the barrier was large enough to envelop the entire city. Moreover, It was common knowledge that the fluctuations of battle would gradually weaken with distance. In other words, when the Black Sword's aura spread outside the city, its might had weakened greatly. So, the barrier set up by the city governor was barely able to resist the aura and prevent it from shattering. So long as the barrier didn't shatter, then Qin Feiang wouldn't be able to utilize the Black Tortoise World to escape the city in the blink of an eye. Slash! As the Black Sword awakened, the city governor roared fiercely, and the Black Sword slashed down towards the Black Tortoise World once more. Clang! Flames appeared once more. The city governor was blasted back once more. The black long sword in his hand shattered into pieces with a kacha sound. He fell into shock as he gazed at the fragments of the sword that fell to the ground. It was actually so terrifying. What powerful fluctuations! Who is the city governor fighting? Even though the barrier was sealed off, the people outside the city could still sense the terrifying aura. A middle-aged man was standing silently within the crowd. He was around 40 years old, had an ordinary appearance, and didn't possess a strong aura. He was Zhao Xiaojin's adoptive father, Lu Zhengyuan. However, he'd changed his face to an unfamiliar one, and he'd intentionally concealed his cultivation. Lu Zhengyuan laughed bitterly as he gazed at the madly warping barrier. This kid was simply a scourge. No matter where he went, he would cause a big mess. Swoosh! A moment later, he flashed out from the crowd and charged towards the barrier. The others immediately gazed at Lu Zhengyuan with surprise and bewilderment. What's he trying to do? Bang! A monstrous aura erupted as Lu Zhengyuan slapped his palm against the barrier with all his might. What a formidable aura! He seems to be a peak sovereign. Shit! Flee! Once the barrier shatters, the fluctuations of the battle will charge out from within. If we don't flee quickly, then we'll all be finished. Someone suddenly roared furiously. In an instant, everyone turned around and fled with terror. But in an instant, only Lu Zhengyuan remained here. A bright glow flashed through Lu Zhengyuan's eyes as he slammed his palm against the barrier, and then powerful divine energy surged out from his palm. Crack! Along with a deafening explosion, the barrier shattered into pieces. Sure enough, at the instant the barrier shattered, the waves of energy sealed within it surged out with overwhelming force. Enormous mountains collapsed madly while the ground shattered. It was like the end of the world had arrived. Those who fled were still fleeing, and they felt extremely fortunate in their hearts. Fortunately, they'd fled in time. Otherwise, they would have probably perished. However, in that way, they had no idea what the city governor of Ocean of Cloud City was doing, because they were too far away. Even sovereigns were unable to see the situation within the city clearly. At the same time, the city governor, who was in a daze, suddenly raised his head and looked towards the barrier. Why has the barrier shattered? The dignified city governor of Ocean of Cloud City actually bullied a junior. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by the world? Lu Zhengyuan's voice resounded. Of course, his voice had changed, so the city governor didn't know who he was at all. Who are you? The city governor looked towards the source of the voice, and a vicious expression instantly crept up between his brows when he saw Lu Zhengyuan, who stood outside the city. I'm someone you can't afford to offend. Lu Zhengyuan laughed coldly, and then he paid no further attention to the city governor. He just turned around and flew away. You're courting death. The city governor was furious. He was just about to pursue Qin Shi when his expression suddenly changed, and he hurriedly released his divine sense to scan the surroundings. End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.